so on and so on. It's very, very complex topic. In one sense, it's very easy, but on the other hand, it is very complex, very difficult. And all these devotees have undergone great austerities here. Mathurapati Prabhu, yesterday we were discussing what he had to go through to have this center. It is unbelievable. When you read Srila Prabhupada's letters and when you hear about memories of the devotees about Srila Prabhupada's early days of ISKCON, you can maybe, there's a similarity there. Lots of crazies and lazies, they come and we have to deal with them. And it is also purification for us. And it is a process. Actually, that is one of the definitions of Diksha, as most of you know, Srila Prabhupada, he says that Diksha is a process. So it's not a cheap thing. It is a process, and we all, at least myself, we're all undergoing this process continuously. So it is and devotees also, they have evolved the understanding of Srila Prabhupada's position over the years. And even the ISKCON institution, I think they have become affected positively by that research and great tapasya and preaching. So I am simply a product of what the devotees have already researched previously throughout so many years. I'm simply a product, and I'm simply relishing the nectar that they have churned by going into the Srila Prabhupada's teachings, discussing, debating, and reading Srila Prabhupada's books and praying for inspiration. So I would not be here if it was not for all these kind devotees who have taken the trouble to go outside of the mainstream ISKCON and struggle just to preserve the understanding of Srila Prabhupada's position. And because the position of Srila Prabhupada is very closely interrelated to our understanding of Krishna consciousness, it is a fundamental issue. So yeah, that's all I can say for myself. Yes, Prabhu, you want to say?
Yeah, yes, just before you go on, sorry, I don't want to interrupt you actually, but just for our audience, not for the online audience that may hear or watch this later, Purujit Prabhu just said at the beginning that I was initiated by Kapindra Swami. So that looks a bit confusing. Can you please just explain that sentence?
Well, initiation is not a formality. That's the whole subject of my class today. So, but Srila Prabhupada also uses that term in terms of formality. He says that I want, in 1972, I want all the GBCs to make advance and to become initiators. He says that in 1972, I want them to become initiators. So usually we understand the word initiator as a Diksha guru, but Srila Prabhupada is using it also as a designation of the formality. So yes.
Just because, as far as the July 9th letter says and goes, the initiator is Srila Prabhupada, both in Vani and in the formality. And the Ritvik, who's not even there, shouldn't be there at the Yagya ceremony, is somebody far away. And he is part of the process that facilitates the physical formal initiation of the disciple, of his disciple, and Srila Prabhupada is the initiator. So I just wanted to be clear by that sentence that, are you saying that Kapindra Swami did the formality, or are you actually saying that he initiated you with, let's say, Divya Gyan, which is part of your whole topic? So if it comes within that, it's fine.
It's an interesting purport in the Chaitanya Charitamrita about the Buddhists who came to see Lord Chaitanya.
By the way, if any time you want me to get something in writing on the screen, just let me know what text it is clearly. Maybe say it twice for me, my mundane brain, and I'll get it up on the screen for you.
I have a bunch of quotes here on my laptop, but I don't know if you can share that.
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Robin, can you make him a co-host so he can screen share?
Oh, he's the host already. Yeah.
Okay, great. So, Purujit Prabhu, you're perfectly able to share screen anytime you want.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And don't forget, after you share the screen, just press stop sharing so we can see you as you talk. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
No, he can't share his screen because he's using a different laptop in front of him. But
Yeah, so whatever laptop he's using, he can be the co-host. He can be added right now. He's
your Zoom on that.
But that laptop is not in the Zoom.
It's not in the Zoom.
Anyway, that's
okay. Then let me do it for you. So just tell me ahead. Just tell me ahead, and I'll get the script for you.
I can give you references. You know, I can read the reference. You can find
Please.
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
twice.
So we don't waste time.
Exactly.
So there is a pastime of Lord Chaitanya when the Buddhists came and Lord Chaitanya, there was this Buddhist leader. He became unconscious, and then Lord Chaitanya chanted Hare Krishna for the disciples, the Buddhist disciples, and they have chanted Hare Krishna into his ear, the Buddhist guru's ear. And Srila Prabhupada says that they have initiated their so-called spiritual master. They have initiated also. So Srila Prabhupada also uses that word initiation in terms of giving the Maha Mantra, initiating. So it's not so black and white as, you know, if we study Srila Prabhupada's teachings, he's using the word initiation in so many different ways. But what we should establish is that Srila Prabhupada is our main source, main spiritual master. He is the guru. He is in ISKCON, they say that Srila Prabhupada is the founder acharya, that the ISKCON gurus, they initiated, but Prabhupada is the founder acharya. So I think that is the most important thing. We can call it different names, but Srila Prabhupada is the last and the most important acharya. And we're preaching or initiating on his behalf. I mean, that's, I think, very obvious. Very obvious. So, yeah, Kapila Maharaj, great devotee, very inspiring, and again undergone to preserve the understanding that Srila Prabhupada is the guru. So, yes. Should we start the class?
Yes, Prabhuji, please do.
Okay,
That's
right. Well,
the floor is yours.
okay. So, of course, you know, these are just my small realizations, and I am subject to error. So please don't hesitate to challenge if you wish any of the devotees. If you think that I have some misunderstanding, I will very much welcome your correction. But
yeah, on that point, Purujit Prabhu, there is a question as far as, are you happy to have questions interjected as you're giving your class, or you don't want to be disturbed and just questions at the end? So we tell everybody.
Questions at the end. Yeah, but I will sometimes interrupt the flow to have a little interactions, because otherwise there's a tendency to sleep.
Good.
I know how it feels. So I know, because I myself, I'm also sometimes it's difficult to pay attention. So I will try to make a little interactive just to keep devotees focused. All right. So okay, here are a few quotes this is from the Nectar of Devotion introduction. Unfortunately, I don't have the exact page number, but here Prabhupada says, without initiation by a bona fide spiritual master, the actual connection with Krishna consciousness is never performed. Okay, so that's one, never performed. Without initiation, never performed. Another one is, now Balaram Prabhu, you can maybe find it, Madhya Lila, 15th chapter, and the mystical number 108, 15108, Madhya Lila. And this is a quote from the purport. There's a bunch of references from the Shastra Prabhupada gives. This one is from Hari Bhakta Vilas. Adikshitasya Vamaru Katam Sarvam Nirathakam Pashuyonim Avapnoti Diksha Virahito Janaha. Translation on this: one is initiated by a bona fide spiritual master. All his devotional activities are useless. A person who is not properly initiated can descend again into the animal species. Okay, so that's another quote. All these quotes are emphasizing the necessity of initiation. This one is from Adi Lila, first chapter, text 35. One should always remember. Okay. Okay, so that's the first one. Yes. Balaram Prabhu is setting it up. It's in the purport, one of the quotes there. Starts with Adikshitasya. Adikshitasya. Probably scroll down a little bit more. There you go. There you go. Okay. So you see there, unless one is initiated by a bona fide spiritual master, all his devotional activities are useless. A person who is not properly initiated can descend again into the animal species. Okay. The next one is Adi Lila, first chapter, 35th verse. Adi Lila, first chapter, text 35. Okay, it's doing a shortcut there. Google is faster. Adi Lila, first chapter, text 35. 35. Okay. Oops. There you go.
Second one.
So this one is in the purport. It's an excerpt from the purport. It starts with, one should always remember. It's towards the end. One should always remember. I have to go. There you go. One should always remember that a person who is reluctant to accept a spiritual master and be initiated is sure to be baffled in his endeavor to go back to Godhead. One who is not properly initiated may present himself as a great devotee, but in fact, he is sure to encounter many stumbling blocks on his path of progress towards spiritual realization, with the result that he must continue his term of material existence without relief. Okay, and then there's another one from Madhya Lila, first chapter. Prabhu, maybe you can message Balaram with these references you'll hit. Madhya Lila, first chapter, text number 208. And there's one little excerpt in the purport. Prabhupada says, if a person does not change his name after initiation, it is to be understood that he will continue in his bodily conception of life. Right? So please, devotees are gone?
No, it just doesn't show.
Okay. So we have all these different quotes. He will continue in his bodily conception of life that emphasize the need for initiation. Now, the question is, just like here, Prabhus are not initiated. Does this apply to them? Let's have a little interaction. I want to hear your ideas.
Yeah, I mean, the first answer I have is that Srila Prabhupada, by the actual process of Vani, which is by sound or by reading, it's the same, the Vani comes. Srila Prabhupada says at one point that as soon as they read my books, they are initiated. So the process initiate also means start, let's say. So I accept that the position of anyone who reads Prabhupada's books and then start to try to apply this is somewhat initiated at the beginning. And if he continues, he's already accepted as Srila Prabhupada's disciple. And the further he hears and applies, obviously that relationship just thickens. So I would say that anybody hearing and following Prabhupada's books is Prabhupada's disciple, regardless of what other personality comes in between and says, I am your guru or not your guru.
Okay, anybody else? Yeah, Prabhu? Greg?
When you were reading that, the first thing that came to mind, you're reading this quote, and it said that, one who is properly initiated. And Prabhupada, when he discussed initiation, he said, real initiation is determination. So you could say also properly determined. If he's properly determined, if he's not properly determined, then of course he's going to go this way and that way, because determination means to stay on aim, on course.
Okay.
Serious.
So Vani, determination. Anybody else?
Prabhupada himself, he was even not fully initiated, I think 10 or 11 years. But he said that actually my spiritual master initiated me and this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cult.
Yes.
And actually this was the real initiation, and later on came the formality.
Right. Okay. Wonderful. Prabhupada's own example. Anybody else? So none of you accept these codes as related to a devotee who is following Srila, reads his books, is determined, but is not formally initiated. Is there anyone who disagrees with this?
What was that?
Can you say
Okay,
that again? Can you say that again, Prabhu?
Okay. Let's say there's a person. What is your name? Robert. Okay, so Robert is not formally initiated, but he's chanting, he's reading, he's determined, he's dancing very nicely, to at least to my my taste. So is there anyone who says that, oh, well, because he's not formally initiated, then he doesn't have a connection with the spiritual master, he can descend into animal species, he must continue his terms of material existence without relief, and all his devotional service is useless?
Yeah, I completely.
Balaram, what do you think?
No, I disagree with that. I agree that he is initiated, he is serving, and Prabhupada is exactly his spiritual master. Yes.
Okay. Anybody disagrees? Okay. All right. Okay. Very good. Good. Okay. So the first part of my lecture is I have taken, of course, this is a work in progress, but I would like to write a book about this. And I have taken the definition of Diksha from different angles of vision. So the first portion is Diksha as knowledge. Diksha as knowledge of yagyas. I'm sure all of you know this verse, Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya uparikshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. So Srila Prabhupada, anybody knows what, when Krishna says he imparts knowledge unto you, the spiritual master imparts knowledge unto you. Anybody knows what is that knowledge? Knowledge of what? Can anybody say from Srila Prabhupada's teaching?
Yes, knowledge of. Oh, go ahead.
Balaram, yeah, Balaram Prabhu. Balaram Prabhu, yeah.
Yeah, knowledge of spirituality, of course, not material knowledge. It's knowledge about the soul, about God, and the relationship between the soul and God.
No, that's not the answer. But yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Yeah, the main point is that we are not the body, Sambandha.
Sambandha Gyan.
Yes, Sambandha, Abhidya, Paradam. All this must somehow transmigrated.
Of course, what Balaram says and what you say, it is also correct. But strictly speaking, that's not how Srila Prabhupada translates that or explains that word knowledge in that particular shloka. Yes, Prabhu?
Is it knowledge of Krishna?
No.
Okay.
Divyagyan.
Divyam Gyan, that was already mentioned by Balaram Prabhu, I think. The shloka. Okay, so
And
let's.
they have even they have changed in the German Bhagavad Gita in the one-to-one translation, word-to-word translation.
Oh.
But the Kshanti, there was initiating, but then they have put some other word that nobody could understand. That means actually initiating.
Okay.
So very interesting.
All right, so let's go to the 72 Bhagavad Gita, Balaram Prabhu. Maybe you can put up the shloka, and especially the word for word. Of course, what you Prabhus have stated, that is completely correct. What you have stated is transcendental knowledge, knowledge of Sambandha, Abhidya, Prayojan. It is also knowledge of Krishna and so on and so on. But now, if you see the word tat, it Prabhupada translated that knowledge of different sacrifices. Okay, so the knowledge here in this shloka refers to the knowledge of different sacrifices. Okay, did you know this?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. All right. This is very important. Keep this in mind. Traditionally, life in Vedic society is governed by the Vedic scriptures, the Vedas, and Vedic traditions. In the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna points out that if he fights in the war of Kurukshetra, he will risk breaking the various Vedic injunctions. In his conversation with Lord Shri Krishna, he raises various objections against the idea of fighting and points at the negative consequences that might arise thereof. For example, he warns that the eternal family tradition will be destroyed. Families become irreligious. Women become polluted. Unwanted population increases, and thus all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities will be devastated. Arjuna is well aware of the importance of the various Vedic traditions and sees how deviating from them will affect the social system of Varnashram. The Varnashram system divides society into 4 classes. We know that: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Not based on birth, but respective qualifications and practical action a person performs. When the occupational duties in a society are scientifically divided according to people's natural and distinct propensities, there is a smooth social intercourse and a material well-being, which in turn produces an atmosphere conducive to spiritual realization, which is the ultimate goal of the prescribed system. Everyone should worship Vishnu or Krishna by their occupational duty. Thus, the whole society benefits. There's a quote related to this Vishnu Purana, no need to put on the screen. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, is worshipped by the proper execution of prescribed duties in the system of Varnashram. There is no other way to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, all these classes of the Varnashram system, provided it works correctly, is meant for the Yagya. So the Shudras are working on the fields. The Vaishyas, they take care of the cows. The Kshatriyas, they collect the grain and the harvest, and they give it to the Brahmanas. And the Brahmanas, they perform the Yagya. So in this way, all the classes, they're engaged in Yagya, and they're prayerful and devotional service to Krishna. This is the real meaning of the Varnashram system. Now, Arjuna fears breaking the Yagya cycle. He says that he has heard by disciplic succession that those who destroy the traditions will achieve hellish worlds. All these things you can find in the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, first and the second. In other words, he has not come to the conclusion based on his imperfect speculation, but received such information from a superior authority. Prabhupada, he says, that is the way of receiving real knowledge. One cannot reach the real point of factual knowledge of the Vedas without being helped by the right person who is already established in that knowledge. Therefore, to elicit a true meaning of the Vedic injunctions, one must surrender to a bona fide spiritual master and hear from him. This is confirmed in the Kshetrasavatara Upanishad. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. This is a quote from the Kshetrasavatara Upanishad. However, Krishna says in the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita that the disciplic succession of spiritual master who passed down the essence of the Vedic knowledge has been lost. Okay, now 4th chapter, text 1, text 2. The personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the Sangha Vivaswan, and Vivaswan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. The supreme science was thus received through the chain of the disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. Now, since the disciplic succession is lost, Arjuna's reliance on it seems to be superfluous. The fact that the succession has been lost is reinforced by the Lord when he specifically expresses his desire to renew it. That is the reason why he explained the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna in the first place. You see, so Arjuna is arguing before Krishna starts instructing the Bhagavad Gita, and he's quoting the Shastra, and he's pointing out to the traditions and so on and so on. Prabhupada, he says that before Krishna started instructing, he was just smiling. There's nonsense, whatever nonsense he says. Because Arjuna was trying to argue with Krishna, but he was arguing based on the broken disciplic succession. Okay? So Prabhupada comments on these verses. So Krishna wanted to reestablish the disciplic succession. That was the one of the reasons why he spoke in the Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada explains, here the Lord clearly tells Arjuna that he's making him the first receiver of a new parampara disciplic succession because the old succession was broken. It was the Lord's wish, therefore, to establish another parampara in the same line of thought that was coming down from the sun god to others. And it was his wish that his teaching to be distributed anew by Arjuna. He wanted Arjuna to become the authority in understanding the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah? So not only in understanding, but also he wanted Arjuna to distribute the teachings. So this is very important because Prabhupada writes in the purport to the second verse, 4.2, that when the original purpose of the Bhagavad Gita is lost, there arises the need to reestablish the disciplic succession. You see, so my humble understanding is, and I'm sure many devotees, they also share the same understanding, is that when we say Diksha, we mean, or Diksha Guru, we mean a guru who is needed to reestablish the disciplic succession. You see? So, yes. The disciplic succession is passing on signs of one's relationship with Krishna. Revival of this eternal relationship is the very essence of all Vedic study. if the science of one's relationship with Krishna is misunderstood, one becomes attracted by the passages of the Vedas that recommend fruitive activities for fulfillment of one's own sense gratification. The reason why I say that one's relationship with Krishna is that Srila Prabhupada himself, if you go and check the 4.2 Bhagavad Gita 4.2, Balaram Prabhu, maybe you can put it on the screen. Evam parampara praptam, emam rajasa vidu, sekanane yoga. Sekanane, what is it? Sekanane. Mahata, yoga nashta parantapa. Yoga, that the yoga, yoga nashta parantapa. The word yoga, if you go to the word for word translation, yoga, yes. Prabhupada says the science of one's relationship with the Supreme. Oops.
Relationship with Sambandha.
There you go. Yes, Sambandha. Exactly. And okay, let me just find this quote very fast. I'm not sure if I can find it. Sambandha Gyan, yes. Okay, I found it. But I don't have the reference here, unfortunately. Yeah. The Lord empowers the Spirit. It's probably from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Did you find it?
This is the spreading to enlighten people about their constitution. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's Madhya Leela 19th chapter 114th verse. 114 Madhya Leela.
Nineteen.
19.
It's 19.
1.19, you said, or 1.40?
19.
Sorry.
19, 114.
Ah, $19, 1.4.
No, point 114. No, point 114.
114.
Yeah. In the meanwhile, I might just
Yep.
say that our relationship with Krishna is service. We're related to Krishna in service. This is the difference between the Vaishnavas and the Mayavadis, because they don't accept any
Is this
service.
correct?
So it's you have to go to the purport.
Yes, this is the correct translation. So it's in the purport.
And the portion start with the Krishna consciousness movement is spreading. If you can find that paragraph, the Krishna consciousness movement. There you go. There you go. Yes. The Krishna consciousness movement is spreading to enlighten people about their real position, their original relationship with Krishna. One requires Krishna's special power in order to be able to do this. People forget their relationship with Krishna and work under the spell of Maya, life after life, transmigrating from one body to another. This is the process of material existence. The Supreme Lord Shri Krishna personally descends to teach people that their position in the material world is a mistaken one. The Lord again comes as Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to induce people, to a little scroll now, Prabhu, Balaram, to induce people to take to Krishna consciousness. The Lord also empowers a special devotee to teach people their constitutional position. You see, so Prabhupada says here that one needs special empowerment to explain the science of one's relationship with Krishna. Special empowerment. It is not that, little Saraswati says, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and she's a guru. Not that type of guru. You need to be specially empowered. I have published.
You mean qualification and authorization?
Well, of course, naturally, Krishna will not empower a nonsense person. So that goes without a saying. But I have published an article on our website, if you have time to study. It's called Who Can Give Diksha, where I have dealt with the qualifications of a Diksha Guru to quite an extent. So the word yoga, yoganashtam parantapa, the signs of one's relationship with Krishna has been broken. So the Diksha Guru, he revives that relationship by different means, but mainly by giving his explanation, his tika, his commentary. Okay, so that was it on that. Now let's continue.
Purujit Prabhu, there are
Yes.
two questions waiting for you. One from Bliss devotees in the UK, I think, and one from me.
Okay, let's have a little intermission and then we'll continue with the yes, Prabhu.
I just want to share the screen again for that original text that we started with, 434, which was that Srila Prabhupada in the word for word. Now we have to understand from what I've seen so far, Prabhupada in the word for word directly puts the word for word. And then in the translation, he can give, and he's open to give the particular twist or focus that he as the Acharya wants to give. So here in the word for word, Prabhupada says that knowledge of different sacrifices. One may ask, I would ask, of course, what Prabhupada mean by different sacrifices? So in the translation and in the purport, we get a more clear definition of what Prabhupada actually mean by that. And in the translation, we don't see anything about yagya. It's just truth. Try to learn the truth. And in the purport, it's okay, I hope you don't mind. I'm just going to read this for the devotees. So the path of spiritual realization is undoubtedly difficult. The Lord therefore advises us to approach a bona fide spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession from the Lord himself. No one can be a bona fide spiritual master without following this principle of disciplic succession. The Lord is the original spiritual master, and a person in the disciplic succession can convey the message of the Lord as it is to his disciples. No one can be spiritually realized by manufacturing his own process, as is the fashion of the foolish pretenders. The Bhagavatam says, Dharmam hi shakshad bhagavat pranitam. The path of religion is directly enunciated by the Lord. Therefore, mental speculation or dry arguments cannot help one progress in spiritual life. One has to approach a bona fide spiritual master to receive the knowledge. Such a spiritual master should be accepted as in full surrender, and one should serve the spiritual master like a menial servant without false prestige. Satisfaction of the spirit of the self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. Inquiries and submission constitute the proper combination of spiritual understanding. Unless there is submission and service, inquiries from the learned spiritual master will not be effective. One must be able to pass the test of the spiritual master. And when he sees the genuine desire of the disciple, he automatically blesses the disciple with genuine spiritual knowledge. That means revelation within the heart. In this verse, both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. One should not only hear submissively from the spiritual master, but one must also get a clear understanding from him in submission and service and inquiries. A bona fide spiritual master is by nature very kind towards the disciple. Therefore, when the student is submissive and always ready to render service, the reciprocation of knowledge and inquiries becomes perfect. So here again, we see that Srila Prabhupada doesn't mention anything about sacrifices or yagya, the sacrifice that we know as yagya. And he also establishes what is this spiritual master. This spiritual master is fully realized. So, you know, for me, this text is directly glorifying and pointing the finger at himself. Srila Prabhupada is saying himself and anybody exactly like him. So if we find somebody else like Prabhupada, then it means that kind of guru. The kind of guru that takes Srila Prabhupada's words and then is sharing it with me, like Mathurapati Prabhu or you or anybody else within our Sadhu Sangha, is exactly that, a representative of Srila Prabhupada. He's not able to give Diksha. The Diksha is being given actually by Prabhupada and carried by his disciples.
Can I answer to both?
What is the question, Prabhu?
It's not a question, actually. It's a it's a comment. You highlighted in the word for word
Okay, let's just have questions, because then it's going to get diverted. I'm going to come to the point of sacrifices later on. Okay, so Buddhist devotees, they wanted to ask something. Yes, no, maybe.
Or the question then could be, how come you focused on the knowledge being given by spiritual master, meaning knowledge about yagya, when in the purport and the translation, Prabhupada doesn't say, he doesn't focus on this yagya aspect.
But can we not say that even the transmission of knowledge?
I will get to it. I will get to it later. I didn't finish my point here.
Sorry, yeah.
You
sorry,
know, so now, yeah.
Okay.
So the Buddhist devotees. Oh, you
Would
want?
I share two quotes? I would like to share two quotes actually.
No, you have a question.
No question.
Okay, so let's keep it for later.
Okay, so that's good. That's a nice point. Keep comments to later and
Yeah.
only focus on the questions dealt with what was spoken previous to this. So let's focus on just questions.
Otherwise, we will never take morning prasadam.
Yeah, that's what's happening. That's what happens in these meetings.
Okay, so let me continue. The disciplic succession is passing on signs of one's relationship with Krishna. The revival of this eternal relationship is the very essence of what all Vedic study. If the science of one's relationship with Krishna is misunderstood, one becomes attracted by the passages of the Vedas that recommend fruitive activities for fulfillment of one's own sense gratification. Krishna explains, it's sort of related, fruitive activities, sacrifices.
Can you read again? What the last?
If the science of one's relationship with Krishna is misunderstood, one becomes attracted by the passages of the Vedas that recommend fruitive activities for fulfillment of one's own sense gratification. In other words, one's mind will oscillate towards the passages that are not the essence of the Vedas. You know, and Krishna says, men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, result in good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification, not being alive, they say there is nothing more than this. So Krishna here, he's responding to Arjuna, because Arjuna is arguing with all these different, stating different traditions and disciplic succession and so on and so on. So Krishna is trying to convince him that if you don't understand the essence, and which later on is explained as the one's relationship with me, with Krishna, then it's a waste of time. If one simply sticks to the materially motivated rituals and does not develop attraction for the supreme Yagya Purusha Krishna, all his occupational activity is simply a waste of time. Srimad Bhagavatam says, first canto, second chapter, 8th verse, the occupational activities a man performs according to his own position are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for the message of the personality of God. This relates to the quote from the Vishnu Purana. The whole purpose of the Varnashram system is to elevate people to Krishna consciousness. If that is not there, the whole I will get to it now. Srila Prabhupada comments, when the Vedas are not accepted through the authoritative disciplic succession, the casual readers of the Vedas are misled by the flowery language of the system of knowledge. So here Prabhupada in the Bhagavatam goes more into detail. See, it might not be in the purport to the Bhagavad Gita, But Prabhupada explains the purport of that verse in the Bhagavad Gita in the Bhagavatam. When the Vedas are not accepted through the authoritative disciplic succession, he makes it more concrete. He says, if you don't accept the right guru, then your study of the Vedas will lead to attachment to the, you follow what I'm saying? Yeah, okay. The casual readers of the Vedas are misled by the flowery language of that system of knowledge. The foolish scholars of Vedic literature who do not care to receive the transcendental message through the transcendental realized sources of disciplic succession are sure to be bewildered. By them, the ritualistic ceremonies, including initiation ceremonies, if you wish, are considered to be all in all. They have no depth of knowledge. No depth of knowledge. Without accepting the bona fide disciplic succession represented by the bona fide guru, the focus on the absolute truth is diverted elsewhere, and the Varnashram institution, instead of becoming a tool conducive to liberation for the mass of society, becomes a tool of artificial oppression and exploitation. Okay, and now Srila Prabhupada talks about this. He says, when the aim of life, i.e. realization of the absolute truth, is missed by too much attachment for the matter of indriya priti or sense gratification, as it is already discussed here and before, the institution of the Varnashram is utilized by selfish men to pose an artificial predominance over the weaker section. You see, so the Varnashram system can be misused. See, many times we criticize the society today. We say, oh, you should go to the farm, grow vegetables, and too much technology, and it's all Kali Yuga and so on and so on. But what we should be aware of, and this society, modern society, started as Varnashram system. And because the science of one's relationship with Krishna, because Krishna was forgotten, that's why that system slowly became perverted into a caste system. And then later on, we have completely deviated in the Western countries from the Varnashram system. So again, the focus is always Krishna. And in the same way, if we do not put emphasis on the knowledge of the spiritual master, the initiation ceremonies can also become a form of artificial predominance. See, I was initiated physically. I'm better than you. I met Prabhupada. I took a cookie from Prabhupada, so now I'm the best devotee in the whole universe. So it's also utilized to pose an artificial predominance over the weaker section. So it's always the knowledge that is important. Krishna consciousness is awakened by sacrifices. This is taken from Srila Prabhupada's purports. By sacrifices to the demigods, sacrifice to Brahman, sacrifice in celibacy, in household life, in controlling the senses, in practicing mystic yoga, in penance, in foregoing material possessions, in studying the Vedas, in taking part in the Varnashram Dharma institution. All of these are known as sacrifice, and all of them are based on regulated action. But within all these activities, the important factor is self-realization. The purpose of self-realization is to know Lord Krishna, the primeval cause of everything. And if one knows Krishna, he knows the whole purpose of the Vedas. Krishna says, all purposes served by a small well can at once be served by a great reservoir of water. Similarly, all the purposes of the Vedas can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them. So Krishna is preaching so nicely to Arjuna. Don't be attached to the lines of the Vedas. Try to understand the meaning. Srila Prabhupada comments, the rituals and sacrifices mentioned in the Karmakand division of the Vedic literature are meant to encourage gradual development of self-realization. And the purpose of self-realization is clearly stated in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. The purpose of studying the Vedas is to know Lord Krishna, the primeval cause of everything. So self-realization means understanding Krishna and one's eternal relationship with him. So again, we have this one's eternal relationship with him, Sambandha Gyan or Diksha, and so on and so on. So these Karmakand section and also initiation ceremony, they have a purpose. The purpose is to encourage gradual development of self-realization. but they're not all in all. Okay. Contrary, if sacrifice of one's material possessions is not dovetailed for spiritual realization, such sacrifice becomes material.
Sorry, again, only the last. I catch one point.
If sacrifice of one's material possessions is not dovetailed for spiritual realization, if we're doing these rituals, if we do initiation ceremony, but it is not dovetailed for spiritual realization, then such sacrifice becomes material. Lord Krishna therefore explains that sacrifice should be performed in knowledge. In knowledge. Krishna says, "O chastiser of the enemy, the sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than the mere sacrifice of material possessions. After all, O son of Pratap, all sacrifices of work culminate in transcendental knowledge." You see, so this is the shloka 433. This is the one before Tadviri Pranipatena. Okay, so if you want to study the 434, the knowledge of different sacrifices and so on and so on, let us go to the previous shloka to understand more deeper what Krishna means. So Krishna is emphasizing, if you simply perform the sacrifice, but you have no knowledge, your sacrifice is on the material platform. It might bring some material benefit. By performing yagyas, the demigods are satisfied. They supply the rain, then you grow grain, you have opulence, just like here in the kitchen, lots of opulence, lots of boga. But if the knowledge is not there, you will not be liberated. And you will not realize the self, you will not realize one's relationship with Krishna. And that system ultimately will deviate, because simply emphasizing the material benedictions, one becomes attached to matter, and he doesn't come out of the material existence. So the sacrifices, they must be performed in knowledge. In other words, we must take guidance of the spiritual master and hear from him. Srila Prabhupada writes, this is from the commentary on that shloka 433. When one's faith, is everybody following? Because I might have sent something too fast.
Purujit Prabhu, when you're reading, it's better that I get it on screen. So let me just
okay.
Otherwise, yeah.
433 purport. 433. It's a very interesting purport. Bhagavad Gita 433.
There are some questions in the chat if you wish to take. Time.
Maybe we can do it later, because I see it's not really related. Yeah,
Go ahead, Prabhu.
Let's go to the purport. When one's faith what is it called? Here, no. When one's faith reaches the stage of transcendental knowledge. I don't have the reference here. It might be from another purport.
This one?
When one's faith, oh yes, thank you, Prabhu. When one's faith reaches the stage of transcendental knowledge, the performer of sacrifices should be considered more advanced than those who simply sacrifice material possessions without such knowledge. For without attainment of knowledge, sacrifices remain on the material platform and bestow no spiritual benefit. In this connection, Prabhupada writes in a letter to, I think, Jai Gopal. He says that the initiation is an agreement between the guru and the disciple, that the disciple will follow the instruction of the guru. But if the disciple after the initiation does not follow, his initiation bears no meaning, is useless. So if the initiation is spiritual, transcendental, some kind of a magical connection, why would Prabhupada say, if you don't follow, it has no meaning? If something is transcendental, eternal, it cannot be changed. So your initiation depends, as we mentioned before, on your determination, on whether you're following the regulative principles, whether you are reading sufficiently, understanding sufficiently, whether you are serving the spiritual master, so many other factors. The ceremony is simply a formality. Okay, so this means that by performing yagyas without proper understanding, one may get a comfortable material position, but cannot understand Krishna and one's relationship with him. One should therefore learn the knowledge of sacrifice from the spiritual master. This is further explained by the Lord in the following verse, and then we come to the Tadvidi Pranipatena. I already spoke about this. The spiritual master teaches the disciple how to perform the sacrifices in the knowledge. In other words, the purpose of initiation is to initiate the disciple with such knowledge. Then in Tadvidi Pranipatena, we have the Upadekshanti translated as initiate. And if you check the manuscript, Prabhupada's manuscript, he actually writes also in the shloka that just try to understand the truth by approaching the spiritual master. And he said the spiritual master will initiate you with transcendental knowledge. He says, initiated knowledge unto you in the manuscript. So in the manuscript, Prabhupada also uses the word initiated in the verse. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada explains, Diksha actually means initiating the disciple with transcendental knowledge, by which he becomes freed from all material contamination. Okay, this is one of the definitions of Diksha. Performance of sacrifice and acquiring spiritual knowledge from the Guru are closely related. For example, in the traditional Vedic way of life, a brahmachari is trained by spiritual instruction to ignite a fire and offer oblations in the morning. He's supposed to go to the spiritual master to take lessons on transcendental subject matter. And the Vedic injunction is that when approaching the spiritual master, one must carry with him fuel to perform yagyas or sacrifices. The exact Vedic injunction reads as follows. To learn the transcendental subject matter, one must approach the spiritual master. In doing so, he should carry fuel to burn in sacrifice. The symptom of such a spiritual master that he is expert in understanding the Vedic conclusion, and therefore he constantly engages in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So I'm putting this quote there because the disciple is performing sacrifices in traditional Vedic life. Even if the Varnashram Dharma system, which facilitates the execution of the yagya, is no longer followed in the Kali Yuga, association of a pure devotee spiritual master through hearing can adjust for the lack of social structure organized for the purpose of yagya performance. This has been recommended as a suitable process of worship by Lord Brahma and later confirmed by Lord Chaitanya in his conversation with Ramananda Raya. When the society at large deviates from the religious duty of yagya performances, the Lord personally or through his representative comes to re-establish the principles of religion. Lord Chaitanya also came to re-establish the religious life of the people in general by inaugurating the Sankirtan Yagya, the congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord. This is the prescribed religious function for this age of Kali as confirmed by the Shastra. So now we're coming to the point Balaram Prabhu has mentioned. The sacrifice for this age is Sankirtan. We don't go performing big yagyas with ghee and so on, so on. So knowledge of different sacrifices to our time and place and circumstance refers to the performance of Sankirtan Yagya.
So, in the purport of the verse explaining the importance of Sankirtan Yagya, it is also explained that people have to be taught to execute it in full Krishna consciousness.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. Yes, I will come to that. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. Srila Prabhupada writes, in this age of Kali, it is extremely difficult to perform Vedic ritualistic ceremonies or sacrifices perfectly. It is not required. Hardly anyone can chant the Vedic mantras with perfect pronunciation or accumulate the paraphernalia for Vedic performances. Therefore, the sacrifice recommended in this age is Sankirtan, constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada points out, instead of wasting time performing Vedic sacrifices, those who are intelligent, those who possess good brain substance should take to the chanting of the Lord's holy name and thus perform sacrifice perfectly.
Yeah, Professor, even this chanting of life, it is also the real initiation.
Yes, yes. And also, he mentions in the Bhagavatam, when the Krishna Balaram temple was inaugurated, the Brijabasis, Srila Prabhupada wanted to, because they were kind of suspicious, all the Westerners, what is going on. So in order to appease the Brijabasis, Prabhupada would invite the local Brahmanas to chant the mantras. And you can see there's a movie of that on the DVD, Prabhupada DVD videos. And these Brahmanas would do these big elaborate yagyas. You can see the coconut there and so on and so on. And when you know
they cannot, classic for them.
yeah, otherwise they will not take it as bona fide. And you can see that Prabhupada is transcendentally nodding off.
What? No, nothing.
Sleeping.
What?
Prabhupada is sleeping. Yeah, transcendentally. So Prabhupada doesn't sleep, but you know, he doesn't take it as see, and then he writes in the Bhagavatam that actually the real inauguration of our Krishna Balaram temple was the Sankirtan performed by the devotees.
Yeah, then he never sleep.
Yes, Sankirtan. Since the prescribed form of yagya for this age is Sankirtan, the duty of the spiritual master is to initiate his followers into the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Srila Prabhupada explains. This is from the Adi Lila, first chapter, 34th verse. Although others give help in showing the way to beginners, the guru who first initiates one with the Maha Mantra is to be known as the initiator. Okay. However, simply hearing the Maha Mantra from the spiritual master does not necessarily constitute initiation. Simply hearing. One must also receive instructions on how to chant the mantra. This is further emphasized by Srila Prabhupada in the following exchange. Prabhupada, chanting of Hare Krishna does not mean whimsical, Rameshwara. No, Prabhupada, offenseless. He must be properly initiated. Okay? He must be properly initiated. Not that everyone is chanting Hare Krishna is initiated. Prabhupada makes a distinction. One must be offenseless. Offenseless, of course, that's another topic. Doesn't necessarily mean that he has to be a Mahabhagavat. Offenseless can also mean following the instruction of the spiritual master. It does not mean that he should not be initiated and chant. That is not the idea. You can. Must be initiated. Either you are a Grihastha or Sannyas, Brahman. Not that without being initiated, you will whimsically chant and the effect will be the same. No, you must be initiated. Ado Gurvashrayam. You must accept a guru. First of all, we are chanting just to make him a little attracted. Ado Shraddha. First of all, let him become rich, get some money. And then when he has got money, he can keep some servants, some assistants, some secretaries like that. First of all, earn money, Rameshwara. So one step at a time. Prabhupada, yes. But organized business means there must be so many men, secretary, manager, that is regulated. So in the beginning, all right, bring some money somehow, then I shall. So you cannot reject this organization because he's chanting. Then what is the use of writing so many books, the Nama Aparat and other discussions, if anyone can chant? Okay, so this is very important. Because we already have established that initiation is not the formalities, not just the yagya and getting spiritual name. It is getting knowledge. Here, Prabhupada is emphasizing it is not that simply that one is chanting Hare Krishna or reads books. One must be properly initiated. In other words, he must be educated how to avoid the offenses and so on and so on. Prabhupada says, otherwise, why am I writing so many books? And then he says, you cannot reject this organization. So he's referring to the ISKCON as an organization, temples. Just because you can chant and read Prabhupada's books doesn't mean that now the temples are completely useless. No, there's a meaning to it. Because in the temples, you become enthused to study more. And you get devotee association, you get support. So it is not at all. I have reading Prabhupada's books, I'm initiated, I don't need anyone else. If you like that, then you're so pure, then you should be avoiding the offenses, and you should be educated in the science. You should be learned. And if you're so learned, well, why don't you open a center? You see? Okay, so therefore, if one wants to execute yagya perfectly in this age, he should be initiated by a bona fide spiritual master and learn the science of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra from him. Thus, we have explained Diksha as knowledge of different sacrifices. Okay, so we can have a discussion. This is the first part. I don't know if we can go to the other ones because it's very, very long. But are there any questions or comments?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
Prabhu?
I still have a.
noticed that when-
Okay.
You okay? Yeah, you were referring to me?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
Prabhu.
I noticed that when you were reading the Bhagavad Gita, and Prabhu said perhaps there's no sacrifices in this verse, and it said that there was two austerities mentioned in there. One was that there should be maybe can you go to it there again, this Bhagavad Gita verse,
Which one?
the one where it says
In knowledge, sacrifice in knowledge?
yeah, sacrifice and knowledge.
Maybe.
And in the purport, it said there that what was it said that you cannot no ludicrous inquiries or something like this.
No, that's in 34.
Yeah, that's the one I was looking for.
Yeah, that's
And both of these things, the two things that were mentioned,
blind following.
blind following
And-
and ludicrous inquiries,
Yeah.
absurd inquiries.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Guru. And these two things are like when Ishan gave a class the other day. Ishan was giving a very nice class, and he read the austerities of the mind. And an austerity is a sacrifice, is it not?
Yes.
And we are talking about knowledge in terms of sacrifice.
Yes.
So the mind is where the knowledge is, and the two of the austerities of the mind were they were gravity
Mhm.
and what was it? Peacefulness, serenity, and gravity. So, like, if one is giving absurd inquiries, then he would not be said to be grave. And then if one is giving blind following, then
There's no realization.
yeah,
That's another part of my article, Diksha as Vigyan, as realization. So you might be reading the books, just like, so many devotees are reading in temples, they're reading Prabhupada's books, but no realization. So is that Diksha? No, that's not Diksha.
the other one was blind following and absurd inquiries. So if someone is making blind, and then the two were serenity and it was serenity and gravity.
Yes.
So like the gravity would neutralize the absurd inquiries, and the serenity, would neutralize, blind following. Because someone who is blind following, they're always disturbed. They're always such a disturbed state, because the reason they blind follow is because desperation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like this desperation, frustration, these kind of things. So to give up these things is an austerity, is a sacrifice, is it
Yes.
not? So I saw that there was sacrifice in that Gita verse.
Yes.
There.
No, sacrifice is the Harinam Sankirtan. That's the sacrifice.
But we can also find, so it was going now with the end, in the end, it was going very deep, yeah. But there's also, Prabhupada said, even if only someone follow the 4 rules and regulations I give him and chant 6 rounds, with no realization, but if he's only this, he's my disciple, that he is initiated.
Mhm.
So, and then he said, what is real initiation is your determination, but then he said, it is your sincerity and then your determination that you take my instructions, follow them, and then
Preach to others.
preach this is for Diksha for Madhyamadikari. So Kanishta Adhikari it's also enough to give him Harinam Diksha, and then he stay like maybe sometimes even Kanishta Adhikari because no realization. But he tried some other, we should respect him. He tried his best to chant Hare Krishna. And after some time, if he got realization, then he immediately he feel okay, I must preach. And this is actually the real initiation then. But the others also.
Well, the Kanishta should also preach.
uh,
Otherwise, how will it come to the point of Madhya?
Yeah.
He must preach
but,
also.
But he has not the real initiation and the realization fully. So the Madhyamadikari brothers did it automatically.
He might not have, yeah, he might not have the full, but some realization must be there. Otherwise, he's not initiated. This is the whole purpose. This is the whole point I'm trying to make here. That unless you have some realization, then reading of the Shastra is useless because you don't understand the meaning, right? It is just like, you can give a class or we can just play Prabhupada. What's the difference? The difference is that you have some realization that you want to share. That's why devotees give, like yesterday, Yashananda was quoting that letter. Prabhupada says, I take great pleasure in hearing the classes of my devotees in Vrindavan. That is why the classes by devotees and discussion with devotees are important. Otherwise, we can just all hear Prabhupada and then go home. So there must be some realization. Might not be perfect realization of one Siddha Swarup, okay? That's a different thing. But even a Kanishta must have some realization. That's why when the circumstances little change, just like it happened in ISKCON, the circumstances changed. But if you're sincere, you will see, okay, maybe this changed this. I cannot do this. I cannot go to ISKCON now. But I should chant my 16 rounds and Prabhupada, take shelter of Prabhupada. You can see the essence.
Yeah, but even
because there's some realization.
Even if there's no great realization, whatever, even if, let's say, even only if it would be possible that someone has no realization, but take the mantra and say to Prabhupada, I follow it. It is also beginning of initiation, but then we can go deep and deep, and he was going always deeper. It's also, this is perfect.
Yeah.
But absolutely from beginning, it is also okay. Someone take the mantra, no realization, maybe he start, and Prabhupada give him a formal initiation, and he is initiated. It's also,
but also, but someone can take the initiation for a wrong reason, and he's never initiated. He's following everything, reading, and so on. But because he has a wrong, that's why I said Prabhupada says it's on a material platform. The sacrifice is on a material platform because from the very beginning, he has a material purpose to fulfill. So his whole so-called Krishna consciousness is just shadow. It's not the real thing. He's not even a neophyte. He's not even a devotee. Prabhupada says, Prabhupada says there are many Sudha devotees and non-devotees in this Krishna consciousness movement. Why? Because someone might be like that. So it's not just hearing or reading the books and chanting Hare Krishna. That's what Prabhupada says here. It should not be whimsical. One must be properly initiated.
And then Vigyan.
The thing is that
does that mean to have proper motivation also?
Yes, proper motivation. You might not be, look, we might have so many material desires. We're not perfect, but at least I should understand the aim is to get rid of it and become pure devotee. If your objective is that no, this is not important. I have to be a guru, or I have to be famous, or yes, this is there's another section. I don't think we'll be able to go through it now, but I have prepared a section exactly on this topic. When the initiation is done without faith, when there's no submission, one gets knowledge, one practices austerities, big, strong austerities. It's like Mathurapati was telling me. And there is no connection with the spiritual master. It's like someone who's licking the outside of a bottle with honey. He doesn't get any taste. So anyway, okay. So there are
three more questions. First, me, as far as in line goes, and then Bliss devotees are waiting in the UK. And then
but you're always asking.
And then Janus Priya is third online right now, just so devotees understand. We see they're asking a question there online. So my question comes still, I'm in a little bit of a state of confusion now from your presentation, because at the beginning you started with 434 and asked us, what did we think this initiation means? And we said, generally all of us said, it was to give knowledge of self-realization as a soul, knowledge of and realization of who God is and their relationship. And you kind of rejected that, which was good. And you said, did you know this? Did you see this? And then you proceeded to focus on yagya. So the question can arise, of course, what is yagya? But in your whole presentation, actually, what I heard most of the time is that, because you gave a lot of knowledge, thank you. And what I caught mostly, just as a general picture, is that the initiation means realization of the soul, realization of God and their relationship. And yagya as yagya, I mean, fire sacrifices, was to be rejected as just like karma kanda section or the Brahmanical stuff, who ha tat sat, blah, blah, blah. And you came back around to saying, yes, it is realization of the soul and Krishna and their relationship. So I'm a little bit confused as to, did I understand what you were trying to teach me, or did I miss it?
Mhm. Yes, I said that none of the devotees were incorrect. We're just trying to put an emphasis on it because usually we don't see it from that angle. I'm just trying to present like a different angle of vision of this shloka from Prabhupada's teachings.
Right.
So the yagya, we know, is not to be rejected, but the let's say
yagya, can I just be clear, which yagya is not to be rejected? Because the yagya is a big word, as even Gregory Prabhu just mentioned. Yagya means controlling the mind. So when I heard yagya, I thought, the Brahminical class, the smarter Brahmanas are into this yagya, om tat sat, we can chant nicely. This is a real devotee. And Prabhupada firmly, as you gave the wonderful example of Prabhupada in Krishna Balaram, he wasn't interested and he was bored with the Brahmanas om tat sat. He wanted the Sankirtan yagya. So now, when you say the word yagya,
we don't reject anything. There's nothing is rejected, but the yagya should be done with a proper understanding. And the yagya performance for this age is the Sankirtan yagya. So the spiritual master is reawakening our knowledge of one's relationship with Krishna through the performance of Sankirtan yagya.
All right, so just to be clear, the word yagya, when you're using it, means the Sankirtan sacrifice, right? We should be doing Sankirtan with knowledge. Is that correct? Perfect. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
This devotees, please, your question and comments are next, are now. You have to unmute yourself. Bliss devotees. There's two bliss devotees, the one with the non-capital bliss. You have your hand up.
There's imposter bliss devotees also.
Okay, somebody help them how to unmute their microphone if they're waiting to ask a question. In the meantime, we go to Janas Priya Prabhu. Janas Priya Prabhu, you have a question?
They are muted.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, they're unmuted now. Wonderful. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Bliss devotees, go ahead.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Who's talking now? Okay, Janas Priya Prabhu, please go ahead. Okay, Janas Priya has gone. Okay, anybody there with a question?
Invite, Robert.
Yeah.
Oh, now you could hear me.
Yes.
The mic finally became on. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you for having these meetings, and thank you for talking about Krishna. That's the most important thing in our life. If we have one breath left, that breath should be left for hearing about Krishna. And Krishna says that of all the devotees who instructs other devotees about my transcendental nature, Krishna says he's most dear to me. So I just wanted to make a very short comment. When I got second initiation from Srila Prabhupada, he put the thread on me and told me the mantra. And then he looked at me right in the eye and he said, this did not make you a Brahmana, but this gives you the opportunity to become a Brahmana. So this goes for first initiation. When we get first initiation, that doesn't make us as a body, but it gives us the opportunity to become a devotee. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for that comment. Nityananda Prabhu seems to be
Robert
next.
has a question.
Yes, please.
wanted to
The
make
local
almost one
devotees,
comment.
Robert
So I
Prabhu.
wanted to share a story that I have heard from a devotee who has been in charge of Hyderabad temple in 70s during Srila Prabhupada's manifested presence. So there was one girl and she left her body there. So the news came to Srila Prabhupada. Everybody became morose in the temple. And when the news reached Srila Prabhupada, he was very happy and said she went back to Godhead. And they said, but Prabhupada, she was not even initiated. And his answer was that, who cares about this ceremony? So this is what I have heard.
Yeah, even we can see when we follow the Srimad Bhagavatam, show me one example only when Narada Muni is preaching and Prabhupada is explaining this is a Diksha initiation. So Dhruva Maharaj and this hunter also, there's never a fire sacrifice. Never, not one time I could find in Srimad Bhagavatam, or even not one fire sacrifice.
Yeah.
Only Narada Muni is coming somewhere other, or there's someone.
Is that okay?
Okay, Dhruva Maharaj, he gave him Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, and he started to chant, and Prabhupada explained, this is now he's initiated, this Diksha. And the hunter, he was completely unqualified hunter, killer. He gave him little knowledge, even this knowledge actually was karma, about karma, and that he's a servant of Krishna. And this what, now stop this, and you get your income when you start to chant. I give you my word, finished. Actually, even this was also initiation. No more this and that knowledge. Even only this was very short, and he was Prabhupada initiated, and he came and said to Parvata Muni, and he showed him, look, this is my new disciple. He was initiated, and he was not more wanted to kill one ant even later on. So this was a change on the heart, even by giving this Diksha. He destroyed all the papa by his words, even about something only about karma, a little bit this, and give him some, even every word was like Divya from Narada Muni. So, and then he changed his heart in very short time. It's also example of Diksha. So many differences you can find. This
Okay,
is maybe 1 year we can discuss.
okay. So the bliss devotees actually had a question, and some technical situation was there where if you are unable to unmute yourself, let me know, because as far as I thought, the system was you could unmute yourself. So the bliss devotees are unmuted now. Please go ahead.
Video. Yeah, now the video doesn't work.
No problem. Go ahead.
So Hare Krishna Prabhu's, nice to have your association today. Thank you for a very nice class, Purujit Prabhu. Now, my question is, what is then the role of the formal initiation, meaning the yagya, the fire sacrifice, since everyone can be initiated?
Great question.
Spiritually, what is the role of the yagya itself? That is my question. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Well, I mentioned that in the presentation. Prabhupada, he says it is meant for gradual development of self-realization. So all these yagyas, and meant, even the Varnashram system, is meant ultimately to bring us to Krishna. So it's like this devotee, I forgot his name, Janaspriya. He meant nicely that this doesn't make you a brahmana, but it's an opportunity. So the formal initiation, from my understanding, is necessary when there's temple worship. Just like devotees here, they have a deity. So when you worship the deity, it's not that everyone can worship the deity. You have to follow the regulative principles. So it's a form of a system. Just like when you go anywhere, university or hospital, there's some hierarchy and you have some title. You can't just go and do a surgery on people if you don't have a diploma, if you don't have the permission from the hospital. So it is for this reason that formal initiation is required, and also to distinguish who is actually serious and who, because there's some devotees who never actually get initiated because they don't have that desire to follow, or they can't follow the regulative principles, so they never actually take the initiation. That's okay, but we make a distinction for organization purposes.
Just before we go to Nityananda Prabhu, he's next on the question list. I just want to make a comment about this question also, about the formal initiation, because we have Srila Prabhupada actually saying quite a few times that it's just a formality, it's just a formality, it's just a formality. And the real thing, as has been stressed here, is the determination, the service, and the following.
Bye, Prabhus.
Oh, Hare Krishna.
Very nice.
Robin Prabhu. Yeah, so think of it like this. This is the way I see it very clearly. You can see is when you go and approach a lady for marriage and you get married just by word, right? The lady or you are going to ask each other, okay, what is really important for me? The love that you have for me by which you stay with me and serve me? Or should we go to the government office and do the signing paperwork? Which one is important? Obviously, the loving relationship that you have, which pushes you to serve each other and infuses you to serve each other all life, that is the real thing. So then what is going to the office, the government office, to sign a paper saying we get married? That is not for Srila Prabhupada. That is for you, just like the lady will say, well, you know, okay, we don't need to officially get married. I can accept that. But I really like to have it because it makes me feel secure that this is real. You will not give me up.
Yes.
You will not reject me. So for us to take the official ceremony physically is to help us come to the point of like, okay, I took a vow in front of witnesses, in front of people. People say, I shouldn't break it. I shouldn't stop chanting my 16 rounds. I shouldn't break the 4 regulative principles. So it's actually to help us use that little tool of that sacrifice that day, in that 2 hours, you have to put a banana in a yagya, is to help us become materially more solid, let's say, because spiritually you don't need it. Absolutely, you don't need it. Divya Gan is there. We see, I know many devotees who haven't taken initiation in ISKCON for 10 years, serving Prabhupada so nicely, but let's say haven't accepted formal initiation, but they're serving better than people who have taken years of formal initiation. So understand the formal initiation is exactly that, to help us keep faith and not give up our promises. So do take it, do use it. Prabhupada says it, do take it, but it's to solidify that connection. Yes, please.
I have a letter here from Prabhupada on this particular point. During my Guru Maharaj's time, even a person was coming from a Brahmana family, he was initiated according to the Pancharatika system, taking him to be a Shudra. So the birthright Brahmanism is not applicable at the present moment. That's inaugurated by Guru Maharaj according to Pancharatika system and Hari Bhakti Vilas by Srila Sanatana Goswami must continue. It does not matter whether the priestly class or not. When my Guru Maharaj Sanatana Goswami Prabhupada introduced the system, it was protested even by his inner circle of godbrothers. Of course, he had actually no godbrothers, but there were many disciples of Bhaktivinoda Thakur who were considered as godbrothers who protested against this action of my Guru Maharaj, but he didn't care for it. Actually, one takes to chanting Hare Krishna mantra offenselessly, immediately becomes situated transcendently, and therefore he has no need of being initiated with a sacred threat. But my Guru Maharaj introduced this threat because a Vaishnava was being mistaken as belonging to the material caste. To accept a Vaishnava in the material caste system is hellish consideration, narakiburi. Therefore, to save the general populace from being offender to a Vaishnava, he persistently introduced this sacred thread ceremony, and we must follow his footsteps. So now, if you take it to our time, place, and circumstance, we must give formal initiation to make it clear that these devotees are disciples of Srila Prabhupada. And if you say, oh, he didn't meet Prabhupada, so he's not initiated with Prabhupada, you are an offender, and your intelligence is not a buddhi. So this is another reason why that formal initiation is required.
No, can you hear me, Balaram? You can
Yes,
hear me?
Prabhu. But
Okay.
your
Even
question, wait, your question
by
should
my
be on
own-
this
hold on,
topic,
hold on
huh?
a second. By my own, yeah. By my own observation, I can, or experience even, I can say, actually, I was thinking, okay, it's no need of formal initiation because Prabhupada say mostly it's no need. But at the same time, we say it's also need, but not so important like the transmission of Divya Gyan. But I was preaching in ISKCON, and here, even in our congregation, there are two or three, there was three devotees. I could convince them about Prabhupada's position and rhetoric system and everything, but there was not these three devotees. They were not formally initiated, so it was really much more easier to convince them. So there must be some special power also in this yakya, together with this fire and everything, and then you give your word to Krishna, to the spiritual master, Murti form, to the demigod. Everyone is sitting. There must be some contract. So this is a sign, like a stamp, because it is also in the subtle body. And later on, to convince someone who have completely taken formula, it's really not so easy. I have tried many years, and it's for sure. And whoever was not formally said, he's now here in our temple. Otherwise, I could not done the job. But there is something, power must be also there.
Well, they're committing to the spiritual master. If they take it seriously, they're committing to the spiritual master, life and death. This is definitely a serious commitment. And if he commits to a wrong spiritual master, it's very difficult to break that faith.
See, it's again just like the
Okay,
example
Balaram
with
Prabhu.
it's just like the example with a marriage. When a woman, maybe a man, but more the woman mentality says, I marry this person, then they give their vows. Very difficult to get them to leave their husband and have an affair or have a second one. But if they're alone, if they haven't done this marriage, then they're more easily be connected to a new man or another man. So you're right. And that's actually very important why we the Prabhupadanugas, actually and the whole of ISKCON, as soon as possible, as soon as the person is suitable, we should encourage them and give them this formal initiation to Prabhupada, because that creates a formal connection, which, as you see, is very difficult to give up. Even though I know devotees who didn't practice for like 5 years. And when I ask them, who's your guru, they still consider, oh, this person is my guru. And they're like hesitant to give that up and join to Prabhupada or anything like that. So you can see formal initiation absolutely in our material mind has a linking connection. And it's difficult to break that. So we should also do it as soon as possible. So as soon as you have devotees that are ready, get them initiated.
Formal initiation has a form. We're not impersonalists. It has a particular form for.
Jai. Okay, Nityananda Prabhu has been patiently waiting. 1 minute. Nityananda Prabhu, just before we go there, Gregory Prabhu, if your question is specifically about this formal initiation, then we'll take it. Otherwise,
it's not even a question. It's a really, really short comment. So short. So
Really?
Don't you start. So it's a few days ago I was discussing with one devotee, and we were reading from one of the works of the previous acharyas. I don't remember which one it is, but if I get the reference, I'll share it in the groups. And it was a very short verse, and it said one should approach the spiritual master with wood in hand. I can't remember the word that was used.
Well, I just read it here.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, perhaps I
You must
missed.
pay attention. If you
I'm-
don't
I
pay
missed.
attention, you cannot answer.
Sorry, there was
ask
some
any
service
questions.
outside. There was some service outside. Yeah, it's such a nice place. Okay, well then now I have no comments. Thank you.
Okay, Nityananda Prabhu, please go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, and never pronounce. So just regarding on this initiation, it's very nice. I wanted to also raise the same topic that Balaram Prabhu was discussing, but he's already said that. Regarding the formality of initiation, if a devotee takes initiation, but then later on falls down, and then somehow or another re-emerges after many, many years, does that initiation still hold valid? Does it have some valid essence in it?
What is your understanding?
Well, my understanding, if I can look at it from the reality of what's happening, is the Srila Prabhupada's, some of Srila Prabhupada's or many of Srila Prabhupada's disciples, when Srila Prabhupada left and there was sannyas, they fell down and they gave up their sannyas cloth. And according to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's like one eating their own vomit if they go back into Grihastha life or Griyamedi life, actually. And then somehow or another, they emerge before the time of death and claim that they are Srila Prabhupada's disciples now with that name tag and try to continue with the spiritual path. So for my understanding, the validity of that, of the whole initiation, if they've never, because once you surrender to Guru, it should be for life. Unless you, I mean, Srila Prabhupada, the spiritual master, is always merciful upon the disciple. So it's at the own, it's at the accord of the spiritual master if he decides to accept the disciple back, which mostly Srila Prabhupada will do, and Krishna. But yeah, I just wanted to get it from your perspective and from the blessed devotees of your understanding of this. I have two more questions after this, by the way.
Okay.
So, as we discussed before, since the initiation is not a formality, just like those who are not formally initiated, they're also disciples of Prabhupada if they follow, if they're determined. Similarly, if a devotee falls down, but later on re-emerges, then his initiation is valid. There's no difficulty to accept this.
There's even a quote and a situation where Prabhupada was asked by his disciples, if I don't make it in this life, is it the principle that you will come again and save me? To Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada's answer was yes.
He's waiting with the universe, he said.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Srila Prabhupada also says that the official initiation has no meaning unless one is fully surrendered to Guru.
Yeah.
Whereas we can see, obviously, we had the discussion. It was in this class that Prabhupada, that the devotees were discussing as well. You know, that the formality is just there, but the real initiation is actually the Vigyan, transcendental knowledge and understanding Srila Prabhupada and following accordingly.
Yeah. So sorry,
So,
just one more point on that. Who somebody was giving class yesterday, I think, and they very nicely focused us on Prabhupada's song that we sing in the Guru Bhajan Samsara Dava, is that you are my spiritual master, birth after birth.
yes.
So he was asked this life in his, you're not Prabhupada's disciple, or are you Prabhupada's disciple, whatever. And he said, which birth are you talking about? Because the song, according to the song itself, he is my spiritual master, birth after birth. So if I'm accepting him now as my spiritual master, does it mean, of course, that he was my spiritual master in previous births? Also, and Prabhupada said yes, but
if I may bring another point, sometimes we hear that, oh, if it's so clear, why Prabhupada doesn't make it more obvious? You don't need a formal initiation. We have to, fish out and bring the purports together to get the full Siddhanta. Why he didn't make it obvious? The reason is that if Prabhupada says you don't need a formal initiation, nobody would join ISKCON and there'll be no preaching, because the natural propensity of a conditioned soul is to find an easy way. So for this reason, in the same way, Prabhupada is not going to emphasize, even if you fall down, you're still my disciple, it's okay. Then it will give people an encouragement to just fall down. So this is another very important aspect to consider when we, discussing formal initiation. Is it required? Is it not required? Prabhupada is also trying to encourage devotees to take it, because otherwise they will never follow. At least they have some kind of a motivation to follow the principles. So that's why it's not so clearly stated by Srila Prabhupada, because by overly emphasizing that it's just a formality, you encourage people not to take any endeavor. Initiation from, I often explain to the devotees that initiation means that you have to take initiative. That is the initiation. You have to do it. The Srila Prabhupada is giving everything. He's giving the mercy to everyone. Srila Prabhupada is not like a businessman. Oh, you betray me, so you're not going back to Godhead. You're gonna rot in hell for eternity. That's not his mood. Prabhupada wants everyone, come, everyone, Tama, Krishna, whoever. He is thinking of every single living entity in this world. So to say that, oh, he will reject you because that's nonsense. Prabhupada is there. He wants very much. Krishna wants us to go back home, back to Godhead more than we desire. But you have to take the initiative. It's up to you now. You have to do it. Do it. Just do it. Nike.
So that if one devotee doesn't take initiation but is sincerely dedicated to Srila Prabhupada and his mission, does Prabhupada not accept that devotee, or that devotee does not get mercy from Krishna and Prabhupada?
What do you think?
This is the thing. I mean, I've seen devotees that took initiation, first initiation, second initiation, and fell down, and I've seen devotees that have not taken initiation but they're still dedicated to Srila Prabhupada. So that's what I've seen. Both ways. I mean, whether they take initiation or not. I mean, people. I mean, devotees do fall down. That's things that happen. It's all depends on their own sincerity. Depends on their adhikar.
I began this presentation by asking this question, and none of these devotees here or on the Zoom agreed.
I wasn't here then.
Yeah, such a devotee, he is not connected. Everybody agrees. If you follow, you initiate it, whether someone recognizes it officially or not, you initiate it.
So my next question is in regard to this, is that there is many Ridvik societies that are developing now, which is a good thing. Everybody's taking to Prabhupada. But the formality of the Ridvik initiation process is different. I've asked, because this is the question that I've asked to also some of the Prabhupada's disciples that also given initiation, that Prabhupada said, because the big thing is when devotees speak to ISKCON devotees, and then they said, where is your order? Because we tell them that only when Srila Prabhupada orders you to become guru, that's when you become a Diksha, or you give Ridvik initiation, you become an officiating priest. So, yes.
Can I just beg you to adjust, and all of us to adjust the way we use this word initiation? Okay, nobody is given initiation except Srila Prabhupada. Okay?
Yes.
The others, when we deal with the ceremony, they are performing the yajna.
Yes, they are the officiating priests. Yes, I definitely understand, Prabhu. Ridvik is an officiating priest. That's the meaning of it. I'm just using this terminology just to explain of how ISKCON people think. So the Ridvik societies that are developing now, many of them have their own ways of doing the Ridvik initiation process, about giving initiation on behalf of Srila Prabhupada. So my question is, shouldn't there be some standardization amongst all the devotees that are performing this Ridvik? And also, what are the qualifications for one to become a Ridvik Acharya?
Okay, that's a very good question. My humble understanding is that we're not Ritviks, because if you see from Prabhupada's purport, the Ritvik means a priest appointed by the spiritual master.
Yes.
No. Specifically, I don't have the reference now, but I can send it to you, whoever wants. I can find it. It's a word for word translation in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Ritvik, a priest appointed by the spiritual master. So I was not appointed. I was not appointed by Srila Prabhupada. None of us were appointed. So we're not valid.
Yeah, okay, so what's the validity of the initiation then? Because that's what Ridvikacharya means. It means appointed by the spiritual master. That's my question. What is the validity? How is the connection work if we weren't given the direct order or appointed?
We're not Ritviks. We're not Ritviks. We're not Ritviks. Another point is that the Ritvik system, it's a Ritvik system, right? And Ritvik system for ISKCON. I'm not a part of ISKCON. I was never a part of ISKCON. I never stepped into an ISKCON temple in my life. So, as you said, the formalities might change, but the essential point that Srila Prabhupada is the giver of the Divyam Gyan remains the same. There's no difference in that. It doesn't matter. Formality means that the form might change. There is a form, there's a particular form, but that form might also change. It is adjustable. So I can't speak for everyone, but in our society, when someone wants to be initiated, he must come and he must be observed. He must live with us. And so we see, okay, this devotee is waking up, he's chanting 60 rounds, he's going out, he's preaching, his understanding of Prabhupada's books is also on the point. Not that he has some kind of a speculation or whatever. And there's a love and trust. There's a love and trust, and he accepts the authority of the temple president and my authority and so on. And then we can initiate. So I would say we should more focus on the position of a Shiksha Guru than a Ritvik. And I think in that sense, we can better deal with the ISKCON devotees, because ultimately that's what they do also. They're not Diksha Gurus, because strictly speaking, there's a video on YouTube. One of these Diksha Gurus, Hanumat Prasad, Hanumat Matra, will send it to the chat. He says that we don't know what Diksha Guru is. Honestly, he's a very honest devotee. He says we have still not figured out what Diksha Guru is. So they also have, and there's this Shastri advisory council, and they say that you can't be appointed, and they always changing it. So they don't know what the Diksha Guru is. So I would say, okay, before you figure it out, be Shiksha Guru. There's no problem.
Yes.
One can be a Shiksha Guru and initiate the formality. Then it's very easy. The formality is not difficult. Just see whether the devotees are following the principles, for 6 months, observe them, and there must be some kind of a center, some temple. Not that without a center, you give initiation, you don't know anything about these people, they just say, oh, Prabhupada is my guru. That is not good. That's my understanding. Yes.
There's one more thing I just want to say.
Just 1 minute. I'd like to say something.
Just want to add one more thing just before that, Prabhu. Just want to add one more thing. It'll just take 1 minute.
Mathura,
a few seconds.
The organizer.
Yeah, 1 minute. 1 second. 1 minute. Nityananda wants to finish something. 1 minute.
Just a few seconds. So our sampradaya is a Bhagavad Shiksha sampradaya. Just so the devotees know that our sampradaya is not a Diksha sampradaya. From Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, until the 6 Goswamis. I just want to let the devotees know that. If you want to.
Okay. The topic right now you brought up yourself was about formalizing or standardizing Diksha in our group, whatever it is.
Yes.
So that topic is continuing. Yeah, go ahead, Mathura Pati. On this topic, initiation standardizing.
Even in the beginning, someone can correct me because I have not maybe every part of this, but it was clear that even the temple president gives the fire yakya in the beginning, and have to do the fire ceremony and everything. And Prabhupada was consoled because of the name and always, and then more and more, Prabhupada was going out of these formalities, and he gave whatever it's, if you choose and he's correct, 6 months you have proven him, then you can make the fire. So even temple president or sannyasi, who was in the near by the temple, he can do it. And later, okay, he choose a rit, so-called ritvaks, 11. But Bhakti, Guru Kripa Prabhu was asked why you are not on the list, because he was also giving. And he said, it's not so important. Everyone can be appointed also, or put on the to the 11. It was not so big thing, this ritvik. Even, I would say, even if Prabhupada was not directly appointed someone now, and he's doing it because we have now some, let's say, some emergency case. There's no international GBC, even not national GBC for most of us, only Bangalore group. Madhu Pandit, he have a GBC or like this. And but even if someone give here initiation, like even Purujit is giving this formal initiation, no problem. Even this Sundar Gopal was giving. Even I took.
It's not giving initiation.
I don't get this for me. But this formality and on behalf of Prabhupada. Okay, exactly. Say it like this. And that's not a big thing now, I would say. And later on, when we have a international GBC, maybe in the future, if everyone want to come under this umbrella, everything Baka, okay, then we can have everything, even the managing things and everything perfect. But even now, it's not a problem. Temple president can give this.
One thing is that if the devotees are not checked properly, then a form of like a fool, even he might be a ritvik. See, that can also turn into cheating. That I want initiation for Prabhupada. Yeah, okay, take, and give me like dakshin. I take the dakshin. So we have to be careful. The ritvik, of course, it is not that he needs an appointment. That's not an appointment to chant your 16 rounds. You don't need an appointment to set up a center. And if there's a center and there's a preaching, naturally the third stage is what is it? Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, initiation. It's natural. It comes just like here. Prabhu's also there. They came and they trained, and the next step is initiation. It's just natural. So it very much depends on the preacher who's not just giving the initiation, but running the center. What is the standard of the center? Do the devotees, are they educated, and so on and so on. So now I would say it's way much more, there's a way much more burden of responsibility on the person who's giving the initiation than within ISKCON. Like here, Prabhu Mathurapati, yesterday we're discussing, he was telling me the whole story, how many austerities he undergone to make the center possible. He dealt with so many nonsense, well, hopefully devotees still, but very, very aggressive people, very offensive. He had to go through all of that. So there was no one to help. I'm speaking from my own experience. There's no one else to help you. The senior devotees, when you want to ask, at least from my experience, they give very little instruction, and they're not very much interested to come and visit and give classes. And I also was listening to your introductory, the one that you gave, the first one. Yeah, it was very nice. I very much resonate with that. Very little support from the Grihastas and so on, so on. So if someone actually manages to train people, young boys or young girls, chanting 16 rounds, waking up, following Prabhupada, so he should be recognized that this person is preaching sincerely. Otherwise, how can you inspire people to give up the 4 sinful activities, rise early, chant 16 rounds? This is a miracle. So we have to judge by the symptoms also, that who is a bona fide Ritvik or Shiksha Guru or whatever you want to call him. You have to see the devotees who come out. Are they bona fide? Are they chanting? Are they preaching? Is it expanding? The disciplic successions should expand. So the devotees who we initiated, are they capable of running centers, initiating others maybe? So all these things need to be considered. So that is not, see, one thing is that we put so much emphasis on the formality. There's a Is Srila Prabhupada your Diksha Guru? Just like you mentioned in the beginning, what Kapila Swami, was he your initiating guru, or was he a Ritvik, and this and that? Yes, that is important, but ultimately what is more important is whether devotees are situated properly and whether they preach Krishna consciousness. That is more important.
But bring the topic to standardizing the Ritvik initiation ceremony and system as Prabhupada gave it. Maybe everybody should reread that July 9th letter, because maybe we haven't read it in a long time. There, Srila Prabhupada, you will see established a wonderful transcendental system. And why is it wonderful transcendental system? And why is it actually so important? Because it's actually to save us from our own false ego. If you look at the system Srila Prabhupada says, he says, okay, up until now, the temple president was there. He was dealing personally, as Purujit Prabhu says nicely, with the devotee. Only the temple president sees and relates to that devotee. The temple president, then when he's ready, writes a letter to Prabhupada and says, Prabhupada, I think this devotee is ready. Please give him initiation. Prabhupada gets the request, gives the name, and gives the beads and sends it back. Now, when he was asked what to do after 1970, after his departure, Prabhupada gave very clear, you read that July 9th letter. He said, okay, from up until now, you were doing like this. Now, the same temple president, in an ideal situation we're talking about, when there's adjustments, I'll speak about that in a minute. But ideally, the temple president does not take part in the actual yagya directly. Okay, and there's a reason for that. The temple president does not take what I'll come to that. Okay, in an ideal setup, the temple president is dealing with the devotee directly. So there is a danger that the temple president and the disciple can think temple president is my guru. The temple president can think he is the guru of this person because he's directly dealing with them. So Prabhupada set up is the temple, as Prabhupada set it up, the temple president then sends his letter, not to Prabhupada, because Prabhupada is not physically with us anymore. He sends it to the Ritvik. That Ritvik is a title given to this devotee. He's a devotee first, but he's also given the position of Ritvik. Now, Prabhupada states whoever is nearest. It doesn't mean they're 2 miles away or in a building next door. Whoever is nearest. And in most cases, Prabhupada set up one Ritvik for one zone, huge zone. The world was divided into 11 areas. Prabhupada chose 11 at that time. So let's say in Germany, Matthias is ready as a temple president to give initiation to Robert. Robert wants to take initiation. Sorry, Mathurapati is ready to facilitate this yagya. So Mathura is the proof, is the eyewitness to Robert's behavior that he's following. Then he finds where is the nearest allocated Ritvik. It's somebody in London. That's the nearest person. So he sends it to Purujit Prabhu, the request. Purujit Prabhu has no connection with this disciple. So what is his function? Purujit, as the Ritvik's function, is to act as Prabhupada. Okay, so what is his function actually? Do I know Mathura is in good standing? I don't know the disciple. So Purujit as a Ritvik is to actually the eyewitness to check upon Mathura as a temple president. Is he in good standing? That's all. If he knows or thinks Mathurapati is in good standing, he will say yes, choose a name, chant on the beads, and send it. Part of this setup actually was to reduce money costs. Instead of Prabhupada flying in here and then sending parcels so far, it's just localizing it geographically. But the main function of the Ritvik, most of it in a proper setup, is not, he doesn't have any dealing with the devotee. So then Mathurapati gets the letter back as the temple president, and he also doesn't do the yagya in an ideal situation. He then allocates a brahmana from his community, second initiated person. You please do the fire yagya on behalf of Prabhupada for this disciple. So when it is all done, the brahmana in the yagya, doesn't think he's guru. The disciple doesn't think that the yagya person in the yagya is his guru. The TP doesn't think he's the guru. The disciple doesn't think the TP is guru. The Ritvik doesn't think he's the guru of disciple. The disciple doesn't think that the Ritvik is his guru. Directly, everybody is saved and everybody knows Prabhupada is the initiator. Disciple knows Prabhupada is my initiator. Bas. We are saved. Srila Prabhupada's Ritvik system saves us from falling into this guru initiator mentality. Yeah, please go ahead. Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhu, I'm not sure if you understand my point. I'm not sure. So I'll try to re-explain. What you're saying is 100% correct. That is a correct understanding of the Ritvik system within ISKCON. The reality is we're not in ISKCON. We're not in ISKCON. ISKCON for
You
us.
are not in ISKCON. You are not in ISKCON, maybe. I am in ISKCON. I'm representing Prabhupada, so I am in ISKCON.
Okay, all right. Okay. So I'm not in ISKCON. Mathurapati is not in ISKCON. We have to figure out things.
I'm not in FISCON.
Yeah, of course.
The old school ISKCON.
Yeah.
We are ISKCON.
The point is, we're not in that structure that Prabhupada set up. You don't work under some GBC. You have to make decisions on a daily basis,
See,
and you're going to be responsible.
That brings up now a whole other question. Are
Can
we
I
in
just
ISKCON?
finish?
Please, yes, go ahead.
And we taking responsibility. Same way, the Ritvik or whatever, Shiksha Guru, you want to call him, the preacher, he can also become bogus and there's no one to remove him. That's a fact. Whether you take it from this side or that side.
Sorry,
it's a
I don't
fact of the
understand. What do you mean the Ritvik can become bogus? I don't understand.
Well, I explained, he gives cheap initiation to people who are not qualified. That can happen to Ritviks. The whole temple can become bogus.
Ritvik is not giving the initiation. First understand that and say that.
Why
Ritvik
not?
is not
He's
giving
giving.
initiation.
No, he's giving.
No, you're wrong.
Why not?
Prabhuji,
Why not?
Prabhupada is giving initiation. The Ritvik is geographically located some miles away, never in contact with disciples.
But the Ritvik is giving the formal
No, wrong.
initiation.
No, Prabhuji,
He's not
sorry.
giving.
He's just choosing a name.
But what is the use of the Ritvik if he's not giving formal initiation?
And Prabhupada's giving the initiation. Read the July 9th letter. So the Ritvik is just acting.
No.
like-
Wait, Prabhu. Prabhupada is using the word initiation to both as Devyam Gyan, as we were explained, and as formal.
That's Prabhupada.
No. Prabhupada, I mentioned this before. In 1972, Prabhupada says, I want the GBCs to be initiators.
He said so
He
many
doesn't
things.
say-
77
doesn't
is the
say-
conclusion. 77
he
is the
doesn't-
end.
No, wait. He doesn't say that the GBC, they should be Diksha Gurus. I think that is just common sense,
That's
right?
clear.
That's very clear. He says at least first initiation. In that
Maybe.
conversation.
Maybe.
No, not maybe.
He says maybe. Read that. It says maybe.
No.
I know it very well.
Prabhu, hear me out. He says, I want them to be initiators, at least first initiation. So at least first initiation, that cannot be Diksha Guru. It cannot be Diksha Guru. So that means Ritvik. So Prabhupada is using that word initiator also as a Ritvik. This what you say, I understand your point. And it's
Prabhuji,
valid.
look, you have to understand.
It's not necessarily that now if we say initiation, it's something wrong. No, Prabhupada is
No one is saying anything is wrong. First of all,
No, you're saying,
what
you're correcting us.
what
You're
Prabhupada
correcting
said,
us.
what Prabhupada said in 1972 was clarified in 1977 as his final, right? Yes, I agree with you. I know Prabhupada in the past said this about initiation,
no.
this about Diksha Guru.
No. Prabhupada started the Ritvik system in 1972 already.
Yeah.
He did it. The GBCs, they became initiators, meaning
No.
Ritviks. What do you mean?
They were not initiating. What are you talking about?
No.
Prabhupada is the initiator. In 72,
But
who is the
Prabhupada called them
initiator?
initiators. Prabhupada called them initiators, meaning formal initiators. Anyway, this is a minor point. I don't want to, divert the attention from this.
Actually, you are both right. Actually, this is
Yes.
Actually, you are both right. Really.
No, it should be understood very clearly. Sorry, that Srila Prabhupada
what I'm-
books
what
are
I'm-
the initiator. The rest are facilitating the formality. The temple president and the
That's
temple
clear.
itself.
That's clear. Prabhu. My whole presentation was to make that absolutely clear that the formality is not the initiation. Okay, so now surely you must understand. I'm not saying that the Ritvik is giving the Diksha initiation in forms of everything. Surely. But what I'm trying to point out is that the Ritvik himself has a level of responsibility because when he gives the initiation, the person who he gives the initiation, they must be bona fide. If he's giving initiation and he'd say, oh, we have this nice Ritvik system and Prabhupada is your Diksha Guru, but the devotees are smoking ganja, what is the use of that?
Okay.
It can be also Ritvik system, it's all bogus, just like in
Prabhuji,
ISKCON.
let's just with you, let's just
ISKCON was a Ritvik system. In the beginning, it was a Ritvik system. And look what happened. So the system itself is not a guarantee that devotees will follow strictly. That's why I said it's on individual, personal level to distinguish who is following Srila Prabhupada and who's not. We can't deal with these labels, Ritvik, ISKCON, and this and that. If you're not following the principles, you're bogus. Final. Whether you have a Ritvik system or not Ritvik system, you're bogus. I think we should put emphasis on this point.
Then let me beg you.
You follow my point, Prabhu?
Let me beg you to do one thing, Purujit Prabhu.
Yes.
Walk us through the July 9th letter. Step by step, what is Prabhupada telling us to do there? Exactly. Please. Shall I put it on screen for you to read?
Why is it necessary? July 9th letter doesn't relate to my situation. I was never in this one.
We can say I'm not interested in your situation. What I am interested in is establishing what Srila Prabhupada wants for all of us. Whether you're in ISKCON or outside of ISKCON, it's still the same system that he wants and he gave. If you're saying you're creating a new system.
No, look, if the Ritviks, if they pretend to be pure devotees and Diksha gurus, then that whole society is nonsense. Sorry.
That's their problem. That's what I'm saying. We want to establish whether you say you're outside of ISKCON or inside. And I say I'm inside or outside. It doesn't matter. We all want.
It matters. It matters.
No, we want Srila Prabhupada's original system.
If the society deviates from the instruction of the spiritual master, then it's bogus. Sorry.
Okay, agreed. But now in your society, in the bliss society, you want to establish what Srila Prabhupada gave us, correct?
No, you already do it. We don't need to establish. We do it.
Okay, good. Okay, good. So now tell me, in the bliss society, according to Prabhupada's Ritvik order, July 9th Ritvik order, how should it function?
We don't follow the Ritvik order because Ritvik order is meant for ISKCON, where there are temples and there are GBCs. I don't have any GBC telling me what to do. I would love to have such GBC, but there's no such a thing. I build up my preaching on my own, unfortunately. So you see, the Ritvik system is like the cherry on the pie. You know, Prabhupada set up the ISKCON from early preaching in a storefront. He inspired the devotees, gave them initiation, the temples, and so on, so on. Then he started initiating through the temple presidents, gave the letters, and so on, so on, up until the last point when he established that you, Kirtanananda, Saduta, you can do the whole thing, the whole formality of initiation, and that's it. So now, if that society becomes bogus, deviated, we can't start with the roof. The Ritvik system is like the roof. You can't start with the roof. You have to start with the basis. And what is the basis? Follow the four regulative principles, chant 16 rounds, wake up, hear Prabhupada, make a center and preach. And when there are people who are interested in getting initiation, then, okay, then you give them initiation. That's another story. But if there are no people to ask for initiation, what is the use of starting with it? This is the problem with many devotees. They want to establish, first of all, the GBC, the authority, and so on, But where are the devotees to initiate? There are no temples. If you want to get initiated in the Western countries by Srila Prabhupada, which temple you want to go to? There's only this, Mathurapati's, which is wonderful, wonderful. And we're doing something in London, okay, but I don't know of any other temples, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, so let me give you just a theoretical situation, Prabhu. If Bliss Society now has one branch in London, let's say they have a branch, second one in Germany, another one in Canada, another one in Turkey, and one in India. So now you've got people running these centers, and you're going to have some kind of management system similar to ISKCON, let's say. would you apply exactly the Ritvik order in that time?
Yes.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Why not?
Yeah, so then that brings us to the,
Yeah.
like I said, Srila Prabhupada's Ritvik order, if you look at it in its ideal situation was like that. So then we talk about non-ideal, which is what we have now. And I perfectly understand what you're saying now, Prabhuji, is that in Mathurapati situation, for example, we don't have a GBC, we don't even have a Ritvik. So somebody, Robert, comes and says, hey, I want initiation. And this formal initiation will save me because I'll be take it more seriously. Otherwise, I'll be attracted to another guru or fall down. So Mathurapati in this situation has to act as the temple president, as the Ritvik, as the Yagya. Maybe he's the only person who did the Yagya. So
Yes,
Mathurapati
yes.
in this situation, and Purujit Prabhu also in bliss situation right now, has to act as all three positions.
Yes,
The
yes,
temple
yes.
president, the Ritvik, and the person doing the Yagya. But still, be careful, because when you do that, the disciple should not think you are his guru, initiating Diksha guru. And that person, you or Mathurapati, should never think, and be careful not to think that you are their guru. That's the danger there. But be careful. But yeah, we have to do that. Like even now,
But
Yashodananda Prabhu.
why would they think like that? Our
Oh.
society is called Bhakti Vedanta lives in sound society. It's based on this principle that Srila Prabhupada is the devotees are joining our society with the understanding that they are attracted to Srila Prabhupada as their guru.
Yes.
It would not make any sense.
It's there,
to-
Prabhuji. It's there. The desire to be Krishna is there. So the desire, if you can't be Krishna, the next one is to be guru. So Prabhupada said it's the last snare of Maya. So just be careful.
Okay, but this can also come in so many different ways.
Of course,
you can
yeah.
become puffed up as a Ritvik.
Exactly.
You can become puffed up as a Shiksha Guru. You can become puffed up as Prabhupadanuga.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is
That's what I
not. This
said.
is not just because someone is performing the initiation that he is some extra. He has some extra
Oh, no, we're not saying.
danger.
Just
It's
saying.
a danger for all.
It is dangerous because that's why Prabhupada gave a fantastic Ritvik order. It saves us from all that. I'm just saying, unfortunately, there are devotees who take that risk like yourself.
It is dangerous because ISKCON, unfortunately, these Ritviks, they started doing this cheating game. Then it's, but for us, I mean, you can talk to Maitreya Prabhu, the new devotees or Greg Prabhu, they're clear on this 100% that Srila Prabhupada is the guru. So I don't think there's extra need of emphasizing that.
Oh, we do have to emphasize.
What we should emphasize is that the devotees who get initiation, they should be following the regulative principles. If they're not following, they can say so many things. Oh, I accept the Ritvik system, I Prabhupadanuga. If they're not following, just like Mathura said, Mathura Prabhu said very nicely that they say so many things, but when you ask the donation, they don't want to give. So where's the donation going to? To buy jewels for the wife so I can have nice sex life. You see, this is the problem.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you so much. I think Gregory Prabhu has a question behind you.
Okay, yeah, it wasn't a question, it was a
Oh,
comment.
Right. And after,
yeah.
after Gregory Prabhu, bliss devotees were also waiting for questions. So after Gregory, bliss devotees.
Sure.
So just organization wise, what is the limit? Do we have a time limit?
Yeah, we're okay for a little bit, but when the devotees come up for prasad, we can finish in about like maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Maximum 5 minutes, let's say, because give time to
Okay.
devotees to take breakfast before the next class.
Sure. I'll keep it as brief as I can. The one thing that made me want to say something there was that when reading the May 28th conversation recently, I saw this, that Prabhupada was asked about this discrepancy by Satsvarup. He was asked, who is the person who is giving the initiation and the initiator, what is the relationship between that person and the disciple? And Prabhupada made the distinction. Like I think most people here are accepting that like Prabhupada is the initiator, and then the person who is giving the initiation is actually still giving the initiation
On his behalf.
Yeah, and he clarified that, and he said to Satsvarup, Satsvarup said, he who is giving, and he said, oh, he is disciple, but the initiator, he is grand disciple. So for the person giving Diksha,
Initiator or initiated?
the initiator,
Is a grand disciple?
Yeah, he's the grand disciple of Prabhupada, the initiator.
Gregory
But
Prabhu,
the grand
I'll
disciple.
just interject there, sorry. In that discussion, you'll see confusion arise, a lot of confusion, not with Prabhupada, but with them, because, you know, for them to actually ask the next, first question was, how are we to conduct the initiation? Prabhupada says, Ritvik, finish, conversation finish. You conduct the initiation on my behalf. Then you see their mood. Their mode was, wow, oh my God, we're not going to be Diksha Gurus. We're not going to be same as you after you leave. Oh, so then they're fishing to try to get that position, actually. So then what they say, Prabhupada, so what's the relationship between the Ritvik and the disciple? Well, the relationship is zero. The Ritvik is far away. Whoever's nearest
No,
geographically
he's a guru.
located.
Read the
Sorry, bro. Right.
28th
The relationship is
compound
nothing.
zero.
The real relationship is between the initiator, Srila Prabhupada, and the disciple. And
But
that's what
Satsrup is asking. Satsrup is asking about the Ritvik, the relationship of a Ritvik and the disciple. Prabhupada says he's a guru. He's a guru, but he does it on my behalf.
Yeah, he says here, this is what Satsrup.
Yeah, this is a big topic because it gets into all this gray area of.
So you can be guru, but you have to do it on Prabhupada's behalf. You're not the initiator.
No. He never said anything about guru.
Well, just read it.
The whole question.
I want to read it very clearly now. It says, Prabhupada says, yes, I shall recommend some of you.
Wait, Gregory.
No, I wanted to make this comment. So
let me get it on screen.
Yeah, sure. Well, okay, you can do both. Yeah.
This is a big topic. May.
Is Ritvik a guru or is he not a guru? That's what we're discussing, right?
It's specifically the part where he says, Satsrup says, then what is the relationship of that?
Gregory, so sorry, just read before that, the critical question there, and read Prabhupada's answer to that. The critical question is how to conduct initiation after you leave, right? So read the answer to that.
I don't have that part here. What I have is the specific part that I was referring to.
Okay, I'll share it. Okay, I'll share it.
The whole conversation if you like.
I also haven't got the whole conversation because it falls. So if you look here.
Yeah.
Can you see that clearly?
Yeah, then our next question concerns initiations in the future, particularly at that time when you're no longer with us. We want to know how first and second initiations would be conducted. Prabhupada says, yes, I shall recommend some of you after this meeting is settled up. I shall recommend some of you to act as officiating acharyas. Is that called Ritvik acharya? Ritvik, yes, Prabhupada says. Satsrup says, then what is the relationship of that person who gives the initiation and Prabhupada cuts him off and says, he's guru.
Okay, now wait, okay, just stop, go back.
Says,
no, just wait a minute, just go back, Gregory. Just go back, read the question again by Satsrup.
But he does it on your behalf.
Gregory, I'm asking help from you.
He's making it very clear that the person who gives the initiation is doing it on behalf of the initiator.
Gregory, just go back to the first question. Gregory, for me, just slow down.
Person who gives. I'm trying to explain it.
I'm trying to hear also.
Okay, I'll do it again.
First question.
Wait. I'll do it again. Is that called Ritvik acharya? Ritvik, yes. Then what is the relationship of that person who gives the initiation and the Prabhupada cuts him off?
Stop there. Okay, stop there. 1 second.
No. The important part is afterwards. Because Satsrup says, but he does it on your behalf.
Gregory, 1 second, please. Gregory, just hold on. 1 second. Let's go slowly. Okay. So now,
why don't you listen for and then you say afterwards?
Yeah, okay, first we can go on.
First we tell you if it is not clear, then we clear up.
Go on, Gregory. Just wait. We go on. We're gonna read what you're saying. Okay, now that question by Satsrup, what is the relationship between the person giving initiation and the disciple? Now you tell me, who is giving initiation, Prabhupada or the Ritvik?
Prabhupada makes it clear there. Prabhupada makes it clear.
No,
hold on, you're asking me a question. Prabhupada said, if you ask someone a question, be prepared to accept the answer. So you ask a question, I give the answer. Prabhupada says, Ritvik, yes. And Satsvarup says, then what is the relationship of that person who gives the initiation and the...
Okay, now please answer my question here.
I'm
Who is
trying
giving
to
the
answer your question,
initiation?
Prabhu.
Gregory,
I'm
who
trying to
is
answer your
giving the
question by referring
initiation?
to Prabhupada.
Gregory, who is giving the initiation? Tell me that.
The Ritvik.
Terrific.
No, you're wrong. That's where you're wrong. That's where you
That's
got
what we're
twist.
trying to clear up. We're
The
trying to clear
initiator
up.
is Prabhupada. Prabhupada's giving the initiation. So Prabhupada is answering as he
No,
is
no.
the initiator. Yes.
No,
But that's
Prabhupada
not
is
the discussion
initiator.
here.
yeah, no,
It
because
is.
That's not, we have to
no,
understand.
Satsvarup says, but he does it on your behalf. And Prabhupada immediately responds by saying, yes, that is a formality. Prabhupada agrees that the person giving the initiation is the Ritvik.
May I say,
No.
may I say something?
Prabhupada says it in that he agrees with Satsvarup. He says,
Okay.
May I say something?
Please.
Because your Prabhus are kind of getting a little heavy, so maybe I can bring a point that to dissipate the the argument. Ultimately, we're all arguing for the same thing. We want to see Prabhupada as the guru, right? So I don't know if you read The Final Order, the book by Krishna Kandas Prabhu. It's a major book and it influenced many devotees. So in that book, he's analyzing this conversation and he's giving his understanding of what Prabhupada means, right? That's necessary, if you want to understand, just like we're doing right now, it's a little bit unclear. That's why we try to ascertain the meaning. So Krishnakant Prabhu, at this point, he says that when Satsvarup is asking what is the relationship of the person who gives the initiation, when Prabhupada says he's the guru, Prabhupada means, according to Krishnakant Prabhu, himself. Because he is the actual person who's giving the initiation, meaning Divyam Gyan, just like Balaram Prabhu says. Okay, so now what I find difficult to accept is how can you know for sure that Prabhupada actually means that in this conversation? That is a speculation.
Okay, good. Very good.
That is a speculation because you don't have any evidence. If, let's say, hypothetically, at the end of the conversation, Prabhupada says that, and when I said he is the guru, I meant myself. There will be no question. That will, it will be clear. But at this point, to assume such a big thing that Prabhupada says that it's a sort of speculation. I'm sure that Krishna Prabhu was not trying to mislead us or anything, but it's a little weak. That argument is a little weak. If you read the conversation, just common sense will tell you that Prabhupada means the Ritvik, because that is the actual problem, right? Satsvarup is not asking, are you our guru? Are you our... That is automatically understood. But since he establishing the Ritvik system, Satsvarup is asking the question that is even now difficult to answer. What is the relationship with the person who gives the Ritvik initiation? Is he some kind of a guru? Is he a guru? Is he not a guru?
Yeah,
is the formal initiation the actual initiation? Or is it something more? This question is very controversial, So if we interpret it like this, that actually Prabhupada talks about Ritvik, we're taking the direct meaning. This is the direct meaning of the conversation. If you want to say that Prabhupada is referring to is referring to himself as the guru in this conversation, it's a speculation.
No, not speculation, because you already...
Well, then prove it. Then you have to prove it.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll prove it. I'll prove it.
I shouldn't be able to fix this in 2 seconds.
I'll prove it. Purujit,
I was the one who raised
the first part of this whole situation. It's all about actually who is the initiator. The initiator, who is the Diksha guru, actually. So Srila Prabhupada starts immediately by saying, sorry guys, you're not going to be Diksha guru. You're not going to be the guru. I'm going to appoint you as Ritviks, right? Ritvik. So Ritvik means, as we all know now, a priest representing Prabhupada. And and Prabhupada understood this confusion here because Satsvarup wants to twist it as to, well, what's my relationship with his disciples? Am I their guru or not? And Prabhupada is seeing himself as the initiator. Sasvarup and others have seen themselves as the initiator, as the Ritvik. So then
Balaram.
that's further very clearly clarified in the July 9th letter, which we will read
Balaram.
after this. In the July 9th letter, Prabhupada clears all this. Then you'll see it. Yeah, go ahead, Gregory.
Okay, Balaram Prabhu. You see, we're not really referring to what Satyarup is saying. We're saying that Prabhupada is reacting to what Satyarup is saying. And Prabhupada in clear English, can I see you again?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Prabhu. Yeah, Prabhupada in very, very clear English has like he has said here, yes, it is a formality. So because as soon as Prabhupada says, yes, that is formality, he agrees with Satyarup's statement that he does it on your behalf. And he agrees the person doing that thing on the behalf of Prabhupada is giving an initiation. So that was the whole thing. And the whole thing was, is the person giving an initiation?
Perfect. Okay. So now as we see,
Prabhupada's own mouth, he says he's giving the initiation.
Okay. Gregory thinks the Ritvik is given initiation. Great.
Not Gregory thinks, Prabhupada says.
Look, Prabhush, if I may just say, I don't think there's no need to argue about this point, because what Balaram says, we accept. Prabhupada is the actual initiator.
Yeah,
the Ritvik does the initiation on Prabhupada's behalf. We all agree on that, right?
He doesn't even do the initiation on Prabhupada's behalf. He doesn't even do that. Okay.
I'm sorry?
Please. He doesn't do the initiation on Prabhupada's behalf either.
Who?
The Ritvik.
Oh, no, we're all
okay. Let's get the July 9th. Yeah. Okay, good. So let's get the July 9th letter up. Okay, let's read what Prabhupada says about this. Shall I read it, or Purujit, you want to read it?
You read it because you like it very much.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, all of us should like actually exactly what establishes what Prabhupada's desire is. So, dear Maharajas and Prabhus, please accept my humble blah, 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 blah. Srila Prabhupada indicated that soon he would appoint some of his senior disciples to act as Ritvik representative of the Acharya. Okay. What for? Why did he appoint these people? For the purpose of performing the initiations, both second and third initiation. Okay. So then His Divine Grace has so far given a list of 11 disciples who will act in this capacity. What capacity now? So now we're getting, what is this Ritvik? What is his function? Okay. So clearly, if Prabhupada wanted them to be Diksha Gurus, he would just say, you're Diksha Guru, but he didn't. He said Ritvik. So what does that mean? And exactly this question, what is their position? So Srila Prabhupada says, in the past, temple presidents have written to me, to Prabhupada, recommending a particular devotee's initiation. Now that Srila Prabhupada has named these representatives, temple presidents may, so look, temple presidents may henceforward send their recommendations, first and second, to whichever of these 11 representatives are nearest their temple. So please understand, the Ritvik can be in London and Mathurapati can be in Germany. The Ritvik in normal situation, most times will have absolutely no direct contact with this new disciple. Okay, it's the temple president that has direct connection. Okay, so by giving a spiritual name, so this is the function of the Ritvik. These representatives may accept the devotee. Sorry, did I jump a line? Temple presidents may henceforward send recommendations for first and second nation to whichever of these 11 representatives are the nearest their temple. So they're far away in this ideal situation. After considering, so the Ritvik gets the letter in London. Purujit Prabhu is our Ritvik in our example. He gets the letter from Mathurapati. He thinks, what can he think? He doesn't know anything about the disciple. He just thinks, do I trust Mathurapati's recommendation? Is he in good standing? Yes or no? Yes, yes. No, no. That's it. So these representatives may accept the devotee as an initiated disciple of Srila Prabhupada by, so now this is what the Ritvik does. Choose a name, and in second initiation by chanting the Gayatri thread, just as Srila Prabhupada has done. Then, of course, they will send that thread and send the beads and the name to Mathurapati in a letter. Then, the newly initiated devotees are disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The above 11, the Ritviks, devotees acting as his representative. After the temple president receives the letter from these representatives with the name and the thread, he can perform the fire yagya in the temple as was being done before. The name of the newly initiated disciple should be sent by the representative who has accepted him as her, the name of the newly initiated disciple should be sent by the representative, that means the temple president, or no, sorry, that means the Ritvik. So the other function of the Ritvik is when he gives the name and the thread, he should send that name to a person who collects all of Prabhupada's disciples' names in one place, and that be documented that this person was initiated by this name, this date, in this temple. So then to be included in his disciple book. Okay, that's it, finish. So here we see clearly in the July 9th letter, we see clearly the functionality of the Ritvik and the location of the Ritvik. And
Yeah, that's why I said that we're not Ritviks, because it doesn't apply to us.
well,
at
you
all.
are. You're part of your functionality as a
Yeah.
devotee there is a
But
Ritvik.
we're not Ritviks like that, because there are no temples, there's no GBC. This is all, gone. So the ultimate
Oh, sorry,
essence,
I haven't stopped sharing.
the essence of that instruction is that devotees, they should follow the regulative principles, and the person who conducts the ceremony is acting on Prabhupada's behalf, and he should teach them how to be disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Finished. Easy.
No, please understand
No,
clearly.
okay, no, no, it's my class,
No,
it's my class, it's my class. Sorry.
Yeah.
Let's finish this.
May I say
Because,
that-
sorry, I think, I have been given class. Now Balaram Prabhu is shifted the focus somewhere else and is going different directions. I would not mind to have another class about this. Balaram, we can give it, but I have to say that at this point, I think we have reached a conclusion, and there's no need to this. It's an important discussion, but it doesn't relate to what I was trying to explain today.
I have a question for you, Purujit.
Yes.
At the end of that letter, do you believe that at the end of that letter, when he gives the name, he's like, say that he is doing it from another country, but when he gives the name, is that giving the initiation also? He's giving the initiation when he sends the name.
He has the final say.
On behalf.
Yeah, giving, yeah.
He has the final say. The Ritvik has the final say. And Prabhupada even says it depends on your discretion. So the Ritvik has the final, he's a final authority. But yeah, the temple president and not just the temple president, there must be temples. First of all, there must be temple. You can't be a temple president or a GBC or a Ritvik if there are no temples. That's ridiculous. It's just like, I have a nice beat back, but I never chant 16 rounds. What's the use of that? It's just a structure without any substance. So let's make temples. Let's preach to devotees, train devotees, just like Mathurapati has done very nicely. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy because I've been struggling for 15 years to have devotees living in a temple following Srila Prabhupada and so on and so on. I have not seen any devotees, Ritvik devotees, establishing any temples where I could go. And they have tried so many times to instruct me and go against me and criticize me and so on and so on. And finally now Mathurapati invited me, although we had a little clash, not very major, a little clash, little maybe ego clash, something. But he was so kind to invite me. And I have to say, Mathurapati is showing the proper example, how to do this Ritvik and the preaching and everything, because he has a center and he has devotees who are just as initiated. I'm so impressed. They have such a wonderful service. I came here, immediately they served me. They're working constantly here. I never see them chilling. They're always working here, serving nicely, following Mathurapati's direction. So this, for me, this is the real thing. Not talking Ritvik, this and that. I mean, I recognize this is an important discussion. I'm not saying you, Prabhu Balaram. We have seen this, all these discussions, Ritvik, this, that, Izzy, this, GBC, so on, and no Harinam, no temple, no devotees, nothing. what is the use of the structure if you're missing the substantial parts? Okay. So that's why my experience, how I see it.
Jai.
All right. So we now conclude and we take prasadam.
Hare Krishna.
Everything is ready.
Yeah, Purujit Prabhu,
Breakfast.
thank you so much for bringing up this topic and sharing with us all your wonderful thoughts on deep meditation, years and years of actual direct experience in serving Prabhupada on the field. And as he nicely said, and we've experienced also in his temple, a wonderful devotee situation that he has set up there, and sharing that experience
That's
both
enough.
with us
No,
verbally
disapprove.
and in writing. He's also
Then you
putting it to paper, and we'll be able to read a lot of his realizations and thoughts on many topics, which is really nice to see. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. And just to let you know, before everybody goes, Purujit Prabhu has the next class, not directly the 11 o'clock class, but the 5 o'clock class, which is Shiksha analysis, let's say. Purujit Prabhu, is that right?
I'm so tired. I don't know if I can manage.
It's fine. 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock, not now. 5 o'clock. At least it's about Shiksha. So Shiksha analysis or Shiksha Guru, we don't know.
I think we should take a break.
I don't know.
I think we should take. I personally, I need to take rest.
You know,
I
you
don't
can take
I'll
rest.
be able
This is
to hold that class.
5 p.m.
Oh, it's 5 p.m.
5 p.m. your class.
Ah, okay.
The next one is at 5.
Even that is difficult. But okay, let's see. I'll try my best.
Okay. Sorry for sucking your energy so much in these debates
No.
and these questions. Sorry about that. Okay. Thank you so much, Purujit Prabhu. And the next class is starting in like what's the time now? I have no idea what's it. In like 10 minutes. So is Robin there? Who's controlling it?
For your service, my God.
Who's the controller there?
I think we.
Krishna. We have learned it like
Robin Prabhu.
So ends
Is
the
Robin
class.
Prabhu there?
Thank you. No, Robin's left. So
Oh,
I'll
don't
take.
stop the class yet.
Hare
Just
Krishna.
1 second.
What do you want?
Are you controlling Gregory Prabhu?
Yeah, we can finish. But you
I'm
say
not
what?
talking about finish. Just wait. Gregory Prabhu, if you're controlling there, you start the next class because I'm not going to be here. I have to go.
Okay. Yeah, that's
I'll be
fine.
back.
Take over.
I'll be back for the 5 p.m. So somebody else has to control there.
Okay, sure, Prabhu. Okay.
Tell
Hare
Robin
Krishna.
how to start it or whatever.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank
Srila
you for your
Prabhupada
association.
ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Jai
Hare
Prabhu. And thank you for your association, Prabhu. Haribo.
Where do you think people start? Where? Yeah.
There you go.